This page is the front cover of Dreamcast Magazine Volume 7 from 1999, showcasing artwork related to Sentimental Graffiti 2 and Street Fighter 03. It lists featured Dreamcast games including Power Stone, Shenmue, which was formerly known as Project Berkeley, Giant Graham, All Japan Pro Wrestling 2 in Nippon Budokan, Blue Stinger, EGG, Psychic Force 2012, Carrier, Undercover, Operation Winter Sun, which was known as Undercover Airstrike in Japan, Aero Dancing featuring Blue Impulse, Sega Rally 2, Sonic Adventure, and Senko no Ronde Turb. The cover also mentions the AOU 1999, Amusement Expo, and Gunbeat, a Naomi arcade title from Treasure. This page is focused on the game D2 Shock. It announces a special first-run bonus which includes a D no Shokutaku 2 Experience demo disc. The text highlights features such as the opening movie, the first scene, stewardesses, bottles, snowmobiles, sound files, and more, likely hinting at elements within the game. The image shows a character from D2 and a background scene that might be related to the game's environments. This page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game Real Sound, Cause No Regret. This unique title is an audio game where you play as a blind girl and experience the world through sound. It is compatible with the Puru Puru Pack, network, and visual memory, and it was released on March 11th for 4,800 yen, not including tax. The advert features a path in a forest and a guitar, emphasizing the game's audio nature and sound experience. This page is the contents page for Dreamcast Magazine Volume 7, dated February 26, 1999. It outlines the articles in this issue, highlighting Dreamcast special features on eagerly awaited games such as Sentimental Graffiti 2 and Street Fighter Alpha 3. Other featured titles include Giant Graham 2000, All Japan Pro Wrestling 3, Shenmue, Power Stone, Blue Stinger, and Elemental Gimmick Gear. There's a Dreamcast Hot Information section covering a variety of newly announced games like Psychic Force 2012, Undercover AD 2025 Key, Carrier, Real Sound Kaze No Regret, Poppin' Music, and racing games like Aero Dancing featuring Blue Impulse, Buggy Heat / Redline Racer, and Monaco Grand Prix Racing Simulation 2. Lastly, the Dreamcast Soft Complete Guides section covers game guides for titles like Sega 2, Sonic Adventure, Wartech, Senko no Ronde, and Godzilla Generations. The page is accompanied by an illustration of a blue-clad female fighter, likely associated with the Street Fighter feature. This page is the game index for the magazine and lists Dreamcast and Sega Saturn games covered within. Dreamcast titles mentioned include Undercover AD 2025K, Aero Dancing featuring Blue Impulse, Elemental Gimmick Gear, Carrier, Get Bass, Godzilla Generations, Psychic Force 2012, Shenmue, Giant Graham, All Japan Pro Wrestling 2, Japanese Pro Wrestling in Budokan Inn, Street Fighter 03, Sega 2, Sentimental Graffiti 2, Sengoku Turb, Natural Doctrine, Vast Land Adventure Live Action, Power Stone, Sonic Adventure, Buggy Heat, Blue Stinger, Poppin' Music, Monaco Grand Prix Racing Simulation 2, Real Sound, Kaze No Regret, and Redline Racer. Sega Saturn games include Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 3 Departure Poem. Other sections listed are news, reader submissions, anime updates, and horoscopes. This page features an article titled, Sega entrusts DC advertising to a new company led by Yasushi Akimoto. It discusses how Sega is entrusting Dreamcast promotion to a new company called 81 Entertainment, headed by Yasushi Akimoto, who is also an outside director at Sega. The article mentions that 81 Entertainment, established in November of the previous year, will handle Dreamcast promotional activities in addition to their existing CD production business. Yasushi Akimoto, known for his work as a lyricist and producer, including hits like Sailor Fuku wo Nugasanaide and the group Onyanko Club, is profiled. He expresses enthusiasm for utilizing the Dreamcast's communication features for tie-ups with TV programs and creating DC content. The bottom section of the page is titled Dreamcast Magazine Weekly News Landmark, with calendar dates indicating it covers the period around February 12th and 18th. This page features several news snippets and announcements. Firstly, there's news about the highly praised Sega 2 commercials reaching their third installment. These commercials creatively blend live-action footage and gameplay, showcasing the game's humor and Dreamcast's capabilities. Moving to goods, Yuka Motoharu, presumably a personality associated with Sega, is releasing a limited edition 1999 calendar, with only 1,500 copies available for mail order. In game news, there's a report on the Game Boy Color version of Sakura Wars. It mentions comments from Sega's director Yaguchi regarding the game's development and reception. There seems to be an article discussing comments and reactions to the game, with a quote from the Sakura Wars production general director, Yaguchi Ichiro. Also, there's news regarding Konami continuing its full support for Verdy Kawasaki Football Club in a new system. This includes sponsorship and ongoing backing for the team, with new uniforms and continued media presence through Japanese television. Lastly, an advertisement promotes Gangan Ball Candy, which includes Sakura Wars 2 badges as a bonus. These badges are blind-packed, adding an element of surprise, and are available at Taihirando stores among other places. There's also mention of new Sakura Wars goods at Taihirando stores, including clear files featuring the heroines. This page of weekly news covers a few topics. Firstly, there is a news piece about Banpresto's image character being Gonta-kun. It details that Gonta-kun is from the NHK educational TV show Dekiru Kana, and is appearing in commercials for Banpresto prize goods. There's also a section about a Digital Entertainment Academy production presentation event, where game creators in training showcase their works developed over 3 days. The event was open to the public, and many industry professionals attended. Next, there's a soft section announcing the PC version of Sakura Wars, which is coming in April. It mentions that it's priced at 9,800 yen, excluding tax, special limited edition price. This version enhances all graphics to support high-resolution PC monitors, and includes additional adventure parts with new voice recordings and large volumes of voice acting. Initial bonuses include a special Ogami Ichiro ballpoint pen and a newly drawn poster. Finally, there are music releases mentioned. Best Pieces 2 Yoko Takahashi is a best album featuring theme songs, including Cruel Angel's Thesis from Evangelion. Kibu no Kengen Naru no Asa ni the Alfie is a new single, which is a drama tie-up theme song. Star's Original Love is a new single, and is the theme song for the Fuji TV drama Ring Sai Shushao. Lastly, Kirakira Mizuno Ayeri by Ayeri Mizuno is also featured. This page is about the upcoming release of Web TV for Dreamcast in March, a joint venture between Microsoft and Web TV Networks. Web TV is described as a service popular in the U.S., with 700,000 users, that allows users to access the internet on their televisions. The article highlights key features like email and web browsing directly on a TV screen through the Dreamcast. It emphasizes the ability to save images and URLs, and use bookmarks for favorite sites. The page features interviews with Katsunori Mizuno from Web TV Networks and Masaki Sasabuchi from Microsoft, who discuss the benefits of Web TV, particularly for those new to the internet. They compare it with Dream Passport, noting that Web TV manages user data on a server, making it easy to use. They believe it will be ideal for internet beginners and even game players wanting to explore the web. Dreamcast's top 10 software sales chart is led by Sega Rally 2, a racing game praised for strong initial sales and popular online play. Evolution, The World of Sacred Device, an RPG, holds second place in its second week. Sonic Adventure ranks third, considered essential for Sonic fans. Virtua Fighter 3 TB is fourth, with its KO Corner sparking online discussions. July, an adventure game, is fifth, coinciding with a 40-track music CD release. Seventh Cross, a simulation RPG, is sixth, promoting a contest with a February deadline. Godzilla Generations, an action game, is seventh, notable for steering wheel controller use. Incoming, Human Final Battle, a shooting game, is eighth, highlighting diverse mech battles. Sengoku Turbofan, an RPG, is ninth, featuring hidden events for repeat players. Pentathlon, a racing action game, rounds out the top 10 with a time attack tournament. This page reveals the Dreamcast Magazine's top 30 most anticipated games, voted for by readers. Taking the number 1 spot is Shenmue, and the page highlights part 2 of an interview focusing on the voice actor Makoto Sugita, who plays a role in the game, and it got an impressive 623 points. Second place is Grandia 2, with 569 points, and the article discusses playtime in RPGs. Resident Evil Code Veronica secures third place with 453 points, and the article mentions the importance of camera work and the 3D polygon backgrounds. Below the top 3 is a ranking list from positions 4 to 30, showcasing other highly anticipated titles with their developers, release dates, and points. The weekly pickup section spotlights Sentimental Graffiti 2, a romance-adventure game set in Hokkaido, which is apparently 10% complete at this stage. Giant Graham 2. All Japan Pro Wrestling 2 is also featured, announcing new information about the Naomi arcade board version, showing it at 26% completion and garnering 81 points. There's a mention of Undercover AD2025 key, with a screenshot. Lastly, Super Speed Racing is listed, showing a racing game screenshot and a short note about teams and drivers, earning 9 points. This page presents 2 game rankings and previews of upcoming titles. The Porting Hope Software ranking top 20 inches lists games readers want ported to Dreamcast, topped by Rent-A-Hero, Sakura Wars, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Other desired ports include Final Fantasy, Soul Calibur, and Panzer Dragoon series. The Video Game Income ranking top 15 inches ranks top-earning arcade games, led by Virtua Striker 2, Virtua Fighter 3TB, and Virtual On. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Soul Calibur also appear in this list, along with Tekken 3 and Dance Dance Revolution. The page also previews upcoming games at the AOU show. One highlight is a realistic WGP 500 motorcycle racing game, emphasizing real bike feel and GP rider experience. Another is a cooperative couple compatibility diagnosis machine from Sega AM3, designed for couples to play together and assess their compatibility. February 1999 saw the release of Power Stone and Pop Music. March 1999 was packed with titles like Marvel vs. Capcom, House of the Dead 2, and Blue Stinger, alongside hardware such as the Vibrating Pack and Dreamcast Gun. April featured Buggy Heat and Get Bass. May and June listed tentative titles like Dreamcast Minigame Anthology and Climax Landers. December 1999 had Sunrise Ayutan, tentative. This spring included Shenmue, Yosuke, and Seaman Forbidden Pet. Early summer featured Atsumare, Guru Onsen. This summer offered D no Shokutaku 2 and Geist Force. This autumn anticipated Cool Borders and Giant Graham. 99 year-end was for Sengoku Turb Graphics 2. 99 within the year was slated for Street Fighter 03, Biohazard Code, Veronica, and Grandia 2. January 2000 was marked for Sentimental Graffiti 2. Release date undecided games included Rayman 2 and Carrier. Hardware releases included controllers and devices throughout 1999. A portable game machine, Camera Dream Battle, was set for March 99. This page showcases the Reader's Race ranking for Dreamcast games, Race 7, where readers vote for their favorite titles. Sega Rally 2 takes the top spot as a new entry at number 1. Other highly ranked games include Sonic Adventure, Shenmue World Evolution, which is likely an early title for Shenmue, Virtua Fighter 3TB, Sengoku Turb, which remained a Japan-exclusive title, Pen Pentathlon, known internationally as Pen Triathlon, 7th Cross Evolution, which is 7th Cross Evolution, Godzilla Generations, Incoming Human Extinction or simply Incoming, July, a Japan-only title, and Tetris 4D. The page highlights Sega Rally 2 as the number 1 game, featuring reader comments praising its graphics, replay mode that resembles TV broadcasts, and immersive sound. One reader mentions being hooked on the aisle course and enjoying the drifting. Another appreciates the realistic feel of the car and the immersive experience, even noting minor graphical glitches are forgivable. Another reader emphasizes the game's depth and replayability, recommending it as a must-buy, especially for racing game fans. The general consensus is that Sega Rally 2 is a fantastic racing game that surpasses arcade versions, boasting impressive graphics and engaging gameplay. This Dreamcast page from February 12th features a peripheral ranking led by the arcade stick. Reader comments include humorous takes on game titles and console versions. Railroad. A reader race contest challenges readers to predict Puyo Puyo's chart ranking for software prizes. Game reviews are provided for Evolution, The World of Sacred Device, average 9.0869, and Senko no Ronde, average 8.6129, highlighting character design and gameplay, but also some flaws. An upcoming contest asks readers to predict Psychic Force 2012's rank, with pop and music results pending. Finally, a special prize draw offers 5 winners, an arcade stick, VMU, and a game, with entries due by February 18th. This page is a special report for the upcoming Dreamcast title, Sentimental Graffiti 2. It's highlighted as a fan-awaited sequel to the original Saturn game. The game is a love adventure title from NEC Interchannel, scheduled for release on January 27, 2001, with the price yet to be determined. The shocking news revealed at the production announcement is that Sentimental Graffiti 2 is set 2 years after the death of the protagonist from the first game. The story will revisit events from the previous game's ending. The game involves exploring memories, and the heroines are dealing with the protagonist's death. The page also describes the original Sentimental Graffiti on Saturn as a game where the player searches for the sender of letters and travels across Japan to meet 12 heroines. The opening movie of Sentimental Graffiti 2 is described as impactful and deals with the theme of the deceased protagonist and the heroines left behind. The animation production for the game is being handled by Tong Meng, known for their work on OVAs and games. Storyboard panels from the game are also displayed on the page, hinting at the game's narrative. This page is about the Dreamcast game Sentimental Graffiti 2. It sets the scene in Tokyo during cherry blossom season, where a new story begins. You play as Kimi, a second-year university student and amateur photographer. You are tasked with finding girls to photograph for a school festival poster, leading you to meet heroines living in Tokyo who have experienced sadness. The page explains that some of the heroines have undergone changes in this sequel, with 3 girls having different hairstyles due to significant events in the story, particularly the death of someone close to them, which has altered their lives and outlook. Character sketches on the page illustrate these hairstyle changes. The page directs readers to page 18 for more information about the heroines 2 years after the events of the first game. In an interview, Toshihiko Tabota, director of Sentimental Graffiti 2, discusses the game's shift to the adventure genre on Dreamcast, emphasizing its focus on portraying love. Initially planned as multi-platform, the sequel is built anew, highlighting improved artwork by Mr. Kabashima and strong voice acting. The game explores the nuances of teenage love, including its painful aspects and unrequited feelings, set 2 years after the original, with new characters and some resembling the old cast. Designed like a 13 to 14 episode TV drama, SG2 prioritizes deeper, realistic relationships, making it harder to charm all characters compared to its predecessor. With enhanced visuals, the game's core theme is Setsunaso, or painful love, aiming to evoke bittersweet emotions through a nuanced portrayal of complex romantic feelings. In an interview discussing Sentimental Graffiti 2, the developers highlight a significant shift in approach from the previous game. Instead of a system-driven design forcing players to interact with multiple heroines simultaneously, SG2 prioritizes a more realistic scenario where dating multiple characters at once is mentally implausible. The game focuses on a relatable, ordinary guy protagonist in a coming-of-age story. Development philosophy centers on building the system around the scenario, contrasting with the first game's system-dictated linear progression. SG2 aims for a matrix-like scenario structure and emotionally impactful character-specific endings focused on love, utilizing music and visuals to enhance dramatic moments. The protagonist is designed as an equal-height character, a typical college student unlike the Superman-like leads of previous dating sims, including the original Sentimental Graffiti, further grounding the narrative in realism. This page, titled Heroines Now and Then, introduces 3 characters: Yamamoto Rurika, who is now a short college student, Sawatari Honoka, currently a veterinary medicine student, and Endo Akira, a violinist. Each character description details their personality and a glimpse into their high school days. Rurika is portrayed as curious and searching for her goals, while Honoka is shy but has overcome her wariness of boys and is studying to be a vet, possibly influenced by her biologist father. Akira is confident and dislikes ambiguity and is now a professional violinist, overcoming a past slump. The illustrations on this page are noted to be from the previous work, Sentimental Graffiti, implying these characters may be related to that franchise. The title itself hints at a sequel, or continuation, with the use of the number 2, suggesting new developments for these heroines. This page from Sentimental Graffiti 2 inches explores the paths or future courses of 4 female characters, showcasing their high school days and art college student phases. Makishima Yuki, known for her beauty and serious demeanor, pursues art college. Nishiguchi Yuka, independent-spirited, becomes a freeter and travels despite college attendance, to a disappointing degree of class attendance. Shichisi Yu's profile recalls memorable Hiroshima moments and includes a swimsuit image not featured in the main game. Sugihara Manami, unlike the others, has an unclear future. She's introverted, physically weak, and lives in Tokyo in an unknown situation. Despite being often late and tired, her dates are uniquely enjoyable, raising questions about her rumored lovemaking technique. The page overall reveals the current status of these characters presented in Sentimental Graffiti 2. This page showcases character profiles, seemingly from a dating simulation game, under the theme of high school-era girlfriend. First up are Arishima Moyu and Adachi Yuko, both described as helping with housework assistance. Arishima Moyu is portrayed as kind, helpful, and skilled in housework like cooking and laundry. She's currently a freelancer, helping with household chores instead of pursuing further education, possibly due to the protagonist's death in a previous story or family reasons. Next is Mori Natsumi, a physical education university student, and Manaka Yukiko. Natsumi is introduced as a former high school sprinter, now attending a sports university in the city. Her hairstyle has changed in the last 2 years, hinting at a possible change in her personality or outlook, suggesting it's more than just a superficial image change. As a high school-era girlfriend, she loves physical activity and weekends are usually spent doing sports together, requiring her partner to have good stamina to keep up. Finally, we have Matsuoka Chieko and Suzuki Reina. Matsuoka Chieko is described in the context of a back band and as a high school-era girlfriend. She declined a debut offer as a guitarist for another band because she valued staying with her current band members. Suzuki Reina is a former vocalist and guitarist from a well-known local amateur band called Southern Plaza. She is now working as a background musician, but still hopes to return to the main stage and have her singing heard again. The next page introduces 3 characters and their voice actresses. First is Ayasaki Wakana, a nursing student voiced by Oda Michiko, described as having changed her long hair to a bob, coming from a good family, and aiming to become a nurse. Next is Nagakura Emiru, a magazine reporter voiced by Maeda Ai, who likes occult mysteries but is actually bad at real occult experiences, and is portrayed as emotionally stable. Lastly, Okamoto Mami, a new idol voiced by Hoshino Asuka, is described as someone who transformed from a trend follower to a glamorous person, a bit of a show-off, and decided to enter the entertainment world after being crowned Miss Seirio High School. Each character also has a short description of their high school days personality. This page is a special report from Dreamcast Magazine announcing that Capcom's popular fighting game series, Street Fighter 03, also known internationally as Street Fighter Alpha 3, is coming to both Dreamcast and Sega Saturn. It's highlighted that this is the latest installment in the Zero series and will be ported to both platforms, catering to longtime Saturn fans as well as Dreamcast owners. The report emphasizes the DCISM or Dreamcast principle, suggesting a focus on the Dreamcast version's quality. While screenshots are not yet available, there's anticipation for a complete and high-quality port, given Capcom's track record of faithful ports from Saturn. The release dates and prices are still to be determined for both versions. The Saturn version is noted to require a 4 MB RAM expansion cartridge. The text expresses confidence in Capcom's ability to deliver a satisfying port, and promises further updates in the future. The page also features screenshots of in-game action with Vega and Ryu, and character portraits at the bottom. This page is about the ISMSYSTEM in Street Fighter 03, known internationally as Street Fighter Alpha 3. It highlights the 3 different ISM modes available in the game. XISM, which is described as simple and based on Super Street Fighter 2X. ZISM, which is the standard base ISM from the Zero series. And VISM, which is a variation style allowing for original combos. The page also describes gameplay elements like the health gauge and guard power gauge, explaining how they function in the game. It also mentions that Street Fighter 03 will be released on Sega Saturn and Dreamcast, confirming the ports to these Sega consoles. This page highlights the evolving battle system of the Street Fighter series, specifically focusing on Street Fighter Alpha 3. It mentions that the series is supported by core fans due to its new game balance and increased character roster. Street Fighter 2 featured 8 characters with 23 special moves each. Street Fighter Alpha 3 boasts over 25 playable characters, a significant increase of 7 characters from Street Fighter Alpha 2. Each character can be played in 3 different ISM styles, effectively providing 25 by 3 character variations. These characters have 3 to 6 special moves and 2 to 4 super combos. The page displays screenshots of gameplay and character portraits for Ryu, KN, CHUNLI, DHLSIM, Zangief, Giwai, Nash, Sakura, Sagat, and Adon. Additionally, Character profiles for R. Micah, Cody, and Blanca are featured with action screenshots. This page is about Street Fighter 03 for the Dreamcast. It discusses how the Dreamcast version is expected to be a perfect port of the game, similar to the PlayStation version released previously. The article mentions the large roster of characters in Street Fighter 03 and highlights the addition of new characters in the Dreamcast port. It names characters like Rose, Sodom, Vega, Guki, Akuma, Cammy, Rolento, Birdie, Dan, and Jen, who are all returning characters. It also introduces new characters for the Dreamcast version, including E. Honda, Balrog, M. Bison, and Corinne. Screenshots of gameplay are shown, featuring matches with these characters. The article suggests that Capcom is likely to add extra value to the Dreamcast version, perhaps through online features, given the console's capabilities. It concludes by stating more details will be revealed later, and promises to introduce the new characters. This page is focused on the Dreamcast game All Japan Pro Wrestling 2-3D Battle in Budokan. It highlights the tag team wrestling feature as a major draw, allowing for player-controlled tag matches. The page emphasizes the realistic portrayal of 4 wrestlers, including the referee, in the ring, recreating the intensity of All Japan Pro Wrestling. It also mentions the game's compatibility with the Visual Memory, VM, suggesting connectivity between the arcade and Dreamcast versions, with details about complete linkage through the VM for enhanced gameplay possibilities. The screenshots showcase in-game wrestling action, and the VM screen displaying game content, advertising it as an arcade-perfect experience for home consoles. Key details listed include Sega Enterprises as the publisher, arcade, and Naomi board, origin, undecided release date, tag team wrestling game, and support for 1 to 2 players. This page focuses on the wrestling game Giant Graham, All Japan Pro Wrestling 2 in Nippon Budokan. It highlights the game's use of 3D scanning to create realistic wrestler models and motion capture to bring their individual wrestling styles to life. The page mentions that this technology was previously used in digital dance mix Ana Kujoku Kiki Ket. Featured wrestlers include Mitsuharu Misawa, Toshiaki Kawada, and Vader. The article emphasizes the detailed recreation of wrestlers, from their faces to costumes, and the realistic movement achieved through motion capture, presented at 60 frames per second. The game was initially released in arcades before its Dreamcast version. Screenshots showcase in-game wrestling action and close-ups of the wrestlers' 3D scanned faces. This page is a preview of Giant Graham 2000, All Japan Pro Wrestling 3 for the Dreamcast, stating that the controls will be similar to the previous game, using lever and 3 buttons for actions like attack and throw, with a reversal system. The page anticipates a large roster of wrestlers, suggesting there will be around 20 playable characters, listing names like Giant Baba, Mitsuharu Misawa, Kenta Kobashi, Toshiaki Kawada, and Akira Taue, alongside foreign wrestlers like Stan Hansen, Vader, Johnny Ace, and Wolf Hawkfield. It also highlights the expected return of a popular training mode from the Saturn version, allowing players to create and edit wrestlers. Furthermore, there's excitement about the possibility of transferring created wrestler data to the VMU and using them in the arcade version of the game. This data transfer functionality is presented as a key feature, allowing players to train wrestlers at home and then take them to arcades. This page is a tribute to the recently deceased legendary wrestler Giant Baba, relating it to the Dreamcast game Giant Graham, All Japan Pro Wrestling 2 in Nippon Budokan. The article expresses sadness at his passing and reflects on how players can still see Giant Baba in the game. It mentions that Giant Baba passed away on January 31st at 4:04 p.m. due to liver failure at the age of 61, and that news reports covered it extensively. The article emphasizes how the game allows fans to continue experiencing Giant Baba as a wrestler. A section titled Giant Baba Tracks of Glory lists key dates in his wrestling career, including joining Japan Pro Wrestling in 1960, winning his debut match, becoming the international champion in 1972, and becoming the first Japanese NWA World Champion in 1977. It also mentions later achievements, like winning the NWA title again in 1980, reaching 3,000 continuous matches, winning a different style match against Riki Choshu and Lion, and reaching 5,000 domestic matches in 1993. The page includes screenshots from the Giant Graham game showing in-game wrestling action, and photos of Giant Baba, both in wrestling attire and in a formal kimono. Newspaper clippings about his death are also visible, highlighting the widespread media coverage. The overall tone is respectful and commemorative, focusing on Giant Baba's legacy and how the game provides a way to remember him. This page is a special report on the upcoming Dreamcast game, Shenmue. It's hyped as the most anticipated title for the system. The article is about Shen and Shenhua and the meaning of beloved friend. There's an introduction of a new character named Corinne, described as the energetic and hardworking daughter of a greengrocer in Hong Kong. She's seen as embodying the resilience of the people of Hong Kong. The report then delves into the secrets behind Shenmue's realistic character movements, highlighting the motion actor concept. They are doing a 3-part interview series with the actors, and this is part 2, featuring Masaya Matsukaze, the voice actor for Ryo Hazuki. The article emphasizes the game's incredibly realistic world, mentioning the magic weather system and the full reactive eyes entertainment engine that creates a truly immersive experience. It speaks about how motion capture brings the characters to life, from their body movements to their voices, creating a level of realism not seen before in games. The page also previews a scene of Shenmue, subtitled Shenhua's Stage, showcasing a QTE event. It talks about the beauty and natural atmosphere of the game, the subtle nuances in Shenhua's actions, and how it conveys the human warmth that's absent in typical CG movies. The developers are focused on capturing the importance of human encounters and relationships within the game's cinematic presentation, bringing soul to each scene through dedicated motion capture work. This page is focused on the making of Shenmue Volume 2, spotlighting Masaya Matsukaze, the actor portraying Ryo Hazuki. It features a profile of Matsukaze detailing his birthdate as September 8, 1977, his height and weight, hobbies including skiing and snowboarding, skills in basketball, and qualifications like a regular driver's license. His career history mentions roles in TV shows like Mega Ranger and Time Leap. There are interview excerpts where Matsukaze discusses his experience embodying Ryo Hazuki and the unique motion capture techniques employed in Shenmue, emphasizing the realistic acting required due to the 360-degree filming. The page showcases screenshots from Shenmue, particularly of scenes in Shenhua's hometown, described as a mystical deep forest and mountain area. It also touches upon the theme of two people's fate starting to turn, and includes related imagery. The article highlights the dedication to realism in Shenmue's acting and motion capture process. This page is about the highly anticipated Dreamcast title, Shenmue. It features an interview with voice actor Masaya Matsukaze, who plays the main character, Ryo Hazuki. Matsukaze discusses his experience with motion capture for the game, emphasizing how realistically detailed it is, and unlike anything else he has done before. He mentions learning martial arts like Hachikyoku-ken, and how challenging but rewarding the motion capture process has been, capturing even subtle movements for in-game reflection. Matsukaze expresses surprise that so much detail is being shown in the game's presentation at events, stating that even more impressive footage exists that has not yet been revealed. He also talks about his impressions of Yu Suzuki, describing him as a gentle and insightful person to work with, who encouraged a natural performance instead of overacting. The page also introduces the character Do Nyu, Togyu, a large and intimidating adversary Ryo will face in Shenmue, showcasing in-game screenshots of encounters with this formidable foe and highlighting the tension and drama within the game's QuickTime events. This Shenmue preview highlights the game's vast world, populated by 500 characters to create a realistic environment. A presentation showcased a scene of Ryo and Shenhua escaping Kowloon, prompting Matsukaze, Ryo's voice actor, to jokingly question if they were lovers, though it's clarified the story is not a typical romance. A signed shikishi board by Matsukaze is offered as a prize. New characters Tom, a cheerful food stall worker, and Chang, an intimidating and secretive man, are introduced. The preview emphasizes detailed character modeling, ensuring each character in Hazuki's world has depth through detailed data on physique and personality. The Diary of the Team Leader section recounts Matsukaze's energetic presence at the Yokohama presentation and his dedicated voice recording work. Interviews with the voice actors for Ren and Yuan are also mentioned, showcasing the extensive effort behind the game's development. The next page is a special feature titled Love Deserving Workplaces Dreamcast, and focuses on a new game development system being implemented for Dreamcast. It features Yu Suzuki and mentions his ambition to create a new system for game development, using Shenmue as an example of a massive project. The article discusses the need for talented staff and introduces an agency named Creek and River as a partner to find and manage this talent. It lists several job openings for Dreamcast game development, including 3DCG creators, programmers, planners, scenario writers, and animators, specifying required skills like 3DCG software knowledge, Softimage, Alias, C language proficiency, and experience in related fields. The page details the benefits of this agent system for creators and companies, explaining how Creek and River facilitates the recruitment and management process, connecting talent with projects, particularly for large-scale productions like Shenmue. It mentions that Creek and River has a large database of around 8,000 creators and has been involved in over 100 projects, working with major companies including Sega Enterprises. This page is from a special feature in a magazine highlighting the Dreamcast project Shenmue and its development environment, emphasizing it as a place where developers can pursue their passions in a high-level environment. It includes interviews with 3 key members of the Shenmue development team: game director and programmer Okasari Satoshi, design director and designer Oe Masanori, and scenario and script director and writer Tsuchiya Junichi. The interviews discuss the unique aspects of developing Shenmue, highlighting the creative freedom and high standards sought for the project. Okasari mentions the unusual dedication and detail possible within the project, noting that previous projects were different. Oe speaks about the large scale of motion design required for over 500 characters, emphasizing the importance of motion in achieving realism. Tsuchiya discusses the focus on creating realistic scenarios and events, highlighting the need for writers who can create compelling stories within the game's world, and mentioning that the main scenario is being created by Yoshimoto Akihiro and Suzuki Yu. The article also touches upon the recruitment of staff for the AM2 development team, seeking programmers, designers, especially motion designers, and writers in their 20s to early 30s. They are looking for experienced individuals to join the team and contribute to this large-scale project, aiming to revolutionize the game industry with Shenmue. They emphasize the importance of the environment they provide for developers to excel and create impactful work. The next page is a special report on Power Stone Collection for the Dreamcast. It mentions a sample ROM has arrived, and that the Dreamcast version is even better than the arcade release, boasting improved elements. The article highlights the visual memory minigames, confirming there are 3 different types that can be downloaded, and that progress in these minigames affects the main Power Stone Collection game. A new item, the machine gun, is announced as obtainable. The page features a character column introducing Edward Fokker, known as Red Hurricane, detailing his pilot lineage and righteous personality. Character portraits of Fokker, Wang Tang, Ryoma, Gunrock, and Rouge are showcased with their nicknames. One of the visual memory minigames, Fokker's Sky Adventure, is previewed. The game is noted as being 100% complete at this stage of development. This page is dedicated to Power Stone on the Dreamcast, highlighting new features and additions for this version. It details the Option and Extra Options section, allowing players to customize game difficulty, time limits, rounds, damage, and sound settings. Extra options are also featured, with settings for Power Stone stock, power gauge timer, extra item availability, and damage levels. The page then introduces the Theater, Museum, Hall section, presenting it as a collection of Power Stone extras. This includes the movie theater for viewing character endings, the picture gallery for browsing art and design materials of the main characters, and the music hall for enjoying the game's soundtrack. There's also mention of never-ending mode. Finally, the page showcases 3 Power Stone minigames. Fokker's Sky Journey is a side-scrolling action game where you control Fokker, collecting coins and transforming. Ayame's Palm Sword Training is a 3D shooting game against ninjas and Power Stones. Gunrock's Gangun Slot is a slot machine game where medals earned in the main game can be used for a chance to win more. This page is a basic guide to Power Stone, focusing on essential knowledge for winning. It starts by emphasizing the importance of Power Stones for victory, advising players to efficiently collect them and prevent opponents from doing the same. The guide points out that Power Stones initially appear 1 for each player, with a final one spawning randomly on stage, suggesting players should always be aware of their locations indicated on the radar. It highlights mastering the punch plus kick button combination for throws and special attacks as a critical skill. Dodging is also emphasized as a crucial technique to avoid opponents' attacks, and the guide mentions that throws are particularly effective in close combat, even against transformed opponents. Finally, it advises players to prioritize picking up nearby items over chasing distant Power Stones. Weapon types highlighted include guns like handguns, bazookas, and flamethrowers, and melee weapons like the power hammer and sword. The next page is a guide for Power Stone, focusing on the transformation mechanic. It advises players to collect 3 Power Stones to transform, emphasizing aggressive play during transformation, as attack and defense are greatly increased, and special moves become available. It also warns that transformation isn't invincible. Taking damage will deplete health, and attacks can be telegraphed if relying solely on punches and kicks. The guide highlights vulnerabilities after transformation, specifically when using power fusion, leaving players open. It introduces Rouge as a character, praising her unique feminine charm, especially in her transformed state, and encourages players to enjoy her victory pose. For players facing transformed opponents, the guide advises not to give up, as there are always openings for counterattacks. It suggests using throws during openings, and leveraging weapons for significant damage against transformed enemies. Targeting opponents right after their transformation ends is also recommended, as they become highly vulnerable. The page showcases various weapons and items, bombs and fire bottles for explosive attacks, the extending stick and machine gun as extra items, light sword and power shield as weapons, and roast meat, shortcake and apples as recovery items. It also mentions the power sword and iron pipe as standard weapons. This page is introducing characters from the fighting game Power Stone. It highlights 8 playable characters, categorized into 3 weight classes: middle, light, and heavy. The middleweight character is Fokker, described as having good footwork and attack power, effective in close combat. His special move is the Power Rocket. Lightweight characters include Wang Tang, who is speedy and excels at combo attacks, and Ayame, known for her agility and using jump attacks effectively. Her strategy involves gathering Power Stone. Heavyweight character Gunrock is strong and durable, using his power to overwhelm opponents, with a focus on cornering enemies. His special move is a throw technique. Each character description includes their weight class, a brief summary of their fighting style, and a specific special move or tactic. The page is designed as a character select screen preview and describes the core mechanics of the game, where characters collect Power Stones during fights to transform and use special moves. This Power Stone guide offers character-specific advice. Jack, a middleweight weapon enthusiast, is advised to utilize his power drive attacks. Rouge, a lightweight ardent witch, excels with fire techniques, especially aerial specials like Kagura no Kotachi and Hisu no Tentu, and should finish with fire attacks. Garuda, a heavyweight jet black spirit, despite being heavy, is agile with long reach, emphasizing throwing techniques over power drives. Ryoma, a middleweight bloodless swordsman, has strong weapon attacks, especially his P attack, and should leverage his long reach. Generally, light class characters are fast with jump attacks, middle class are balanced and easy to use, and heavy class characters, while slower, utilize pillars for powerful attacks and can knock out 2 Power Stones with continuous hits. Players should select a character and class that aligns with their preferred fighting style. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast game Blue Stinger, focusing on the highlights of the game's opening section. It's announced as a special report, with details including a release date of March 25th from Sega, a price of 5,800 yen, genre as a non-stop adventure, and it's a single-player game. The preview sets the scene on Dinosaur Island during Christmas Eve, where a sudden disaster strikes. Automated cities usually play Christmas songs, but something goes terribly wrong. A massive object from outer space falls, impacting the island with tremendous force. Shock waves and energy erupt from the island, affecting even the protagonist Elliot and his friend Tim, who are on a boat. The impact is described as being greater than a nuclear weapon. A mysterious light appears, and then the Dinocyte attacks their boat, setting it ablaze and throwing Elliot into the sea. The screenshots show in-game action, featuring the character Elliot in a 3D environment, and the user interface displays homing ray. The year is stated as AD 2018 in the present game setting, and the page highlights the dramatic events with text like "massive substance falling" and "Dinocyte appears," posing the question, what on earth happened to this island? Emergency communication messages are also visible, suggesting a chaotic situation. Elliot, a low-rank rescue team member, is stranded on Dinosaur Island, a dangerous location formed by the dinosaur killer meteorite impact, and now infested with creatures called Dinocyte. Here, he receives communication suggesting survivors and senses a threat. Dogs, captain of ship Tim, and former soldier involved in the island's initial investigation after a 2,000-year-old earthquake, reluctantly agrees to help Elliot reach Janine's control room, hoping to improve their situation. On their way, they encounter a mysterious light entity, Nephilim, and navigate a malfunctioning shuttle to reach Janine. Janine is in the control room, preoccupied with security, and unaware of the full danger. Dogs confronts a Nephilim, while Janine's attempt to shoot one in the control room proves ineffective as bullets pass right through it. The next page is about Scene 3, titled Death-Colored Supermarket, and Scene 4, Leaving the Refrigerator Warehouse, towards the city center, from Dino Crisis. In Scene 3, the characters Elliot, Dogs, and Janine are trying to navigate a supermarket, facing a security barrier. They need to rescue the store manager, who has been poisoned. To do this, they are tasked with a stamp rally and are currently searching for an item called Taco Pen. Scene 4 moves to the refrigerator warehouse, which is extremely cold, and they encounter a large dinosaur enemy for the first time. They need to use devices to increase the temperature in this area. A new mysterious character called Nephilim appears, initially as a light form, that then takes a human-like shape. This page is about the game Blue Stinger and focuses on gameplay elements. It highlights the Lab Town mid-area as the current location of the game's story and introduces the game's simple control system, noting that most actions are done with a single button press, while items trigger screen changes but are easy to manage. The page also details a scenario in a game center where the character Elliot is tasked with winning a prize for a crying girl named Sandy. It mentions the automated machines in the game center and that players must actually play to get prizes. Sandy wants a Geary doll. There is also a section about Elliot's finances in the game, noting that he is out of money at the bank until the 25th. Indicating in-game time progression affects resources. Another section describes arriving at Rat's Bar after navigating a winding path. It mentions that Dogs has accumulated a lot of debt at Rat's Bar. The page also shows an item called the Karate T-shirt, which changes the character's appearance and can be equipped. This page focuses on the Sega Dreamcast game Blue Stinger, diving into specific gameplay elements. The top section introduces the power plant area, highlighting it as a trap-filled location where players, likely as the character Elliot, must restore power to progress. It mentions needing ID cards and discs, suggesting item collection is important, and points to the Rat's Bar as a starting point for exploration. The middle section continues in the power plant, describing the crucial workers who are under attack by insect-like creatures, referred to as being from Dinosite or Redded Dinosite. The text indicates that these workers are necessary for repairs, emphasizing their importance to the player's progress. Moving to the bottom left, we see Blue Stinger Introduction Part 2, which details events with time limits. It explains that certain situations in the game impose time constraints, using a pharmacy example, and another event involving a shuttle incident, where players must stop an installation within 2 minutes to avoid failure and potentially death. Finally, the bottom right section, Blue Stinger Introduction Part 3, emphasizes the importance of cards for survival in the game's world. It describes Blue Stinger's setting as an automated city, where ID cards and card keys are essential to open doors and make purchases from vending machines. The text highlights the desolate atmosphere, noting that while many inhabitants are dead, the city continues to function, creating a unique and eerie game world. This page is about Blue Stinger. The page highlights several aspects of the game, including infiltrating a research facility which surprisingly features a bathhouse. It introduces the concept of vector dinocytes and the need to rescue a female researcher. The article also discusses the game's stamp rally event and its self-aware humor, pointing out the somewhat absurd situations players find themselves in and the often funny dialogue. It emphasizes the game's American-influenced style, giving examples of humorous character actions and dialogue which may seem odd to Japanese players but contribute to the game's unique and enjoyable sense of humor. This page is dedicated to Elemental Gimmick Gear, also known as EGG, highlighting the latest information, Volume 2. The article focuses on the world of EGG and the people who inhabit it, specifically drawing attention to the survival base, East Tion. The game is being developed by Hudson and Birthday and is an action RPG scheduled for release in April, with the price yet to be determined. The text reveals that the story revolves around ancient ruins and a sudden disaster that unfolds, with the player venturing into the world of EGG, particularly the town of East Tion. The narrative describes how ancient ruins awoke after thousands of years due to explorers activating a switch, leading to a disaster that the inhabitants must overcome with the help of EGG. The game is published by Hudson. This page introduces Leon, a man referred to as Sleep Man, who awakens after 100 years from a machine called EGG. His awakening in Tokyon calendar year 1453 coincides with disturbances in ancient ruins, leading researchers at the Royal Science Research Institute to investigate a possible link. Leon, who has lost his memories, becomes the subject of interest for Celine, a female scientist. The game appears to be an adventure, or RPG, where Leon and Celine are involved in exploring ancient ruins and dealing with a world crisis connected to these ruins, which have become demonic. The objective is to investigate the Fanya ancient ruins. Celine suggests that Leon needs the EGG and must find clues himself to recover his lost memories. The page features screenshots of in-game dialogue and exploration, suggesting a top-down perspective gameplay style. This page is a preview of the game set in East Yukshan, a town described as having scars of rampages but still standing. The game is likely Grandia 2. It describes East Yukshan, which was once a beautiful town but is now ruined. People still live there, and the protagonist, Leon, who has lost his memory, will interact with them to gather information. The page mentions Fanya and asks what it is. It points out locations on a map, like Rackle's house and the Royal Science Research Institute. The East Yukshan map western part section discusses gameplay mechanics, particularly related to entering buildings and moving around the town. The "What is this mark?" section explains that plate-like marks are used for getting on and off EGG vehicles, indicating that players cannot directly enter narrow places like houses while riding an EGG, and must dismount at these plates. The screenshots show in-game environments and characters, consistent with the visual style of Grandia 2. This page details the Royal Science Research Institute in the game Elemental Gimmick Gear, EGG. It highlights the institute as the largest building in Eastern Keon, a central location for research conducted by exceptional scientists, including characters like Leon and Yarm Gale, who are studying the mysterious EGGs. The page mentions that players can access research data within the institute to explore the history of EGG development, showcasing 100 years of progress. It also describes Eastern Keon as a town recovering from a significant disaster, now inhabited by various individuals, and hints at encountering different people within the town. Furthermore, the page introduces the theme of meeting orphan children in the game, referencing a character named Rackle. A screenshot showcases a bar area within the game, depicting the character Rocky, who is described as the bar owner, who deals in information and will sell you booze if you have the coin. This page is all about the Dreamcast game EGG, highlighting the sudden battles that occur within the city environments. It showcases a fight against an enemy called Rackle EGG, and points out the ability to perform a spin attack in combat. The page also delves into the storyline, suggesting something surprising happens after battles conclude, with the city being filled with various events. Characters like Leon and Rackle are mentioned, and the text details aspects of their interactions and narrative within the game, which appears to be an action-focused title featuring robot combat. The next page introduces the areas of Fog Edge North and Fog Edge South from the game Elemental Gimmick Gear. Fog Edge North is described as a desolate and rocky area, presented as a path to Fogya, a labyrinthine and magical place. Enemies in the north area, such as the giant bug and grasshead, are easily visible due to the sparse vegetation in the rocky terrain. Fog Edge South contrasts sharply, featuring lush vegetation, colorful flowers, and dense plant life, making it harder to spot enemies like brown shell and patapata. Players must be cautious in this area. The page emphasizes that Fog Edge, whether north or south, is a challenging path leading to Fanya, filled with strange creatures and labyrinthine landscapes, requiring players to navigate carefully and fight enemies. This page is dedicated to EGG Lost Memory in the Steel, and this is Volume 1, Prologue Part 2. It details the world setting of the game, in an age where people explore by foot. The article focuses on the story of an adventurer named Velwood Ulmer, who discovers a large dome structure hidden deep within a dense forest. It explains the challenges Velwood faced navigating the forest, spending years creating paths. His discovery of the dome, dated Tokyon calendar 1218, is a significant event, revealing it to be a relic of an ancient civilization. The text describes the subsequent investigation of the dome, starting around Tokyon calendar 1325, where a base camp was established, requiring considerable manpower to explore and understand the ancient ruins around Tokyon calendar 1351. Illustrations depict Velwood in his gear, the dome and the forest, a map guiding to the location and scenes of the base camp construction. This page features an article titled, Discovery of a Mysterious Object, which discusses the in-game archaeological discovery process within EGG, detailing the careful excavation and investigation of artifacts and the surrounding environment to determine the age of the ruins and the object itself. It describes how after 10 months of investigation, a door-like part was found, leading to the discovery of a mysterious object in a closed space, shining with light. The page also includes a Hara column interview with Yujiro Hara, the creator of the Greedy Wolf series and EGG. Hara discusses his approach to game development, focusing on unique world settings and cute characters, mentioning his previous works like The Miracle Opus 1 and The Miracle of the Zone card game. Furthermore, there is a section called Gather EGG Pilot, which is a call for submissions from readers to contribute to the EGG project. It encourages readers to send in illustrations and ideas to support the game's development. Finally, the page highlights The Miracle of the Zone, a best-selling card game created by the same team. It is described as a card game with deep strategy and rules, emphasizing card sense and system. Dreamcast versions of EGG and The Miracle of the Zone are mentioned as upcoming releases. This page previews Psychic Force 2012 for the Dreamcast, highlighting its original elements and story. It details various game options such as Key Config, which allows customizable button layouts for actions like guard, weak attack, strong attack, throw, charge, and dash, all accessible with a single button press. Game setting covers display adjust options for screen visibility, and field size options from normal to smallest for adjusting the battle arena size. Timer and round settings allow for time limits from 40 to 99 seconds or unlimited, and round counts from 1 to 4. The auto guard feature is for beginners, and automatically guards against enemy attacks, with adjustable frequency. The game is stated to be 90% complete, and is set for release on March 4th, priced at 5,800 yen. It supports two-player gameplay, arcade sticks, and rumble packs. This page introduces the Dreamcast version of the fighting game, Psychic Force 2012. It highlights that this Dreamcast release is a complete conversion of the arcade game, and includes added story voiceover, new modes, and original elements. The page details several gameplay modes, including attack type and shooter type. Although specific details are brief, training mode is described as offering 4 enemy movement patterns for practice, focusing on techniques like slide dashes and super abilities. Watch mode allows players to observe computer-controlled battles from 5 different camera angles, useful for studying advanced tactics. Finally, handicap mode lets players adjust damage inflicted to balance matches, exemplified by screenshots showing damage variation with different handicap levels, featuring characters Regina and Patty. The page concludes by indicating the next page will delve into the characters' stories, specifically mentioning the 2012 stage and the 10 psychic kickers who participate in the battles. This page details characters and backstory for the fighting game Psychic Force, set in 2010 when humanity persecutes psychics. The group Noah, led by ICE user Keith Evans, declared war to create a psychic world, but internal conflict ended it. 2 years later, new conflicts arise. Characters are split into factions: Neo Noah, military psychic force unit, and a third force. Key characters include fire user Barn Griffith, Keith's former friend; Richard Warren, a time user who betrayed Noah for military aims; Sonia, an artificial electricity psychic; and Rokudo Genma, an occultist fighting against psychics to save humanity. The third force are independent psychics like Might, targeting all psychics, and Regina, seen as dangerous, each with unique motivations and relationships described on the page. Psychic Force 2012 is a fighting game featuring characters battling with psychic abilities. Profiles detail 4 fighters. Might, age 16, voiced by Hikaru Midorikawa, fights to fulfill a mission using his lightning sword. Patricia Myers, 15, and voiced by Kumiko Watanabe, wields mysterious powers and seeks truth about her mother's death, using her soundwave-based eternal harp. Wendy Ryan, 17, voiced by Yuko Miyamura, separated from her family in 2010, battles to find them, deploying the tornado-like vortex stream. Finally, 82-year-old Genshin Kanjo, voiced by Joji Yanami, from a psychic fighter clan, seeks to avenge the Kano field and understand his brother's words, using his guardian foot attack. Screenshots of the game accompany each character description. This page showcases a preview of a fighting game featuring psychic characters and cyborgs, under the headline, Psychic Kickers Last Hope. It introduces 3 characters. Carlo Belfrond, a 24-year-old medium-class fighter, voiced by Daiki Nakamura, uses water-based attacks like the Hydro Blade, and leads the group New Noah, seeking hope after being saved by Keys, but faces betrayal within the organization. Gates Oltman, a 39-year-old heavy-class cyborg voiced by Kyusei Tsukui, uses a projectile attack called G-Cracker, and is driven by revenge against Keys for killing his family. Regina Belfrond, Carlo's 22-year-old sister and medium-class fighter, voiced by Orine Fukushima, uses fire-based moves like Flame Chaser and fights for new Noah while worrying about its perilous state and admiring her brother. Screenshots display in-game combat showcasing character abilities and the game's interface. This page introduces the Dreamcast game Psychic Force 2012, a fighting title focusing on characters with psychic powers. The article highlights 4 characters from the game within a section titled Military Psychic Corps. First is Emilio Mikhailov, a 16-year-old lightweight class character whose psychic ability is Light, voiced by Asami Konami. His special move is Prism Seal, which traps opponents in a giant prism. Next up is Gundeath, a 33-year-old heavyweight class character with gravity powers, voiced by Ryotaro Okiayu. His special move is Gravity Infinity, which creates a black hole to suck in opponents. Then there is Setsuna, a 27-year-old middleweight class character with darkness powers, voiced by Minami Takayama. His special move is Black Sun, unleashing a dark sun to damage enemies. The page includes screenshots showcasing these characters and their psychic abilities in action during gameplay. The overall theme appears to revolve around a conflict involving psychics and military applications of their powers. This page is focused on the Dreamcast game Get Bass, which is known internationally as Sega Bass Fishing. It reveals details about the game's modes. Mode 1 is Tournament Mode, described as a mode where you compete to be the best bass fisherman, starting as an amateur and progressing to the top, suggesting there will be new lures and soft lures added for a realistic fishing experience. Mode 2 is Arcade Mode, said to be a perfect port of the popular arcade version, emphasizing its proven fun factor. The page highlights 3 key gameplay elements: selecting a field, choosing a lure to cast, and battling the base. The game is scheduled for release on April 1st and will be priced at 5,800 yen for the software alone and 9,800 yen with a fishing controller. It is described as a fishing simulation compatible with the fishing controller and force feedback. The page also mentions 7 new lures and 3 secret lures. There's a section titled From the Person in Charge, implying a developer comment. This page highlights new features for Sega Bass Fishing, known in Japan as Get Bass. It introduces 4 new fishing locations: Inlet, Bridge, Reed, and Cave. Inlet is described as a familiar location from the arcade version, while Bridge is a stone bridge area with deep fishing spots. Reed offers shallow water fishing among reeds, and Cave features a cave opening with varying water depths where soft lures are effective. The page also discusses 3 rumors about the game. Firstly, it mentions the possibility of playing as a female angler, reflecting the growing presence of women in bass fishing. Secondly, it hints at the inclusion of a very famous lure, suggesting it might be the bandworm or a similar well-known lure. Lastly, the page teases a minigame where you can raise fish caught in the main game using the Dreamcast's Visual Memory Unit (VMU), emphasizing the realistic nature of the game. Furthermore, it introduces Practice Mode, designed for both beginners and experienced players. This mode offers unlimited time and allows for customization of weather, time of day, and location, giving players complete freedom to practice and master bass fishing techniques. Finally, the page announces the simultaneous release of a dedicated fishing controller to enhance the gameplay experience and create a more immersive feeling, developed by AM1, with a researcher from AM1 stating that the vibration feature is their favorite aspect. Screenshots show in-game fishing scenes, with the user interface displaying information like line out, total weight, and water temperature. This page introduces Undercover AD2025, a near-future action-adventure game for the Dreamcast. Developed by Pulse Interactive and scheduled for a summer release, this 2-disc title is a detective action-adventure set in Tokyo in the year 2025. The game delves into themes of internationalization and terrorism in a crime-ridden Tokyo, starring Kei Ayashima, a female detective confronting the Chinese mafia. From the creators of the Shinjuku Mad series, with story and direction by Masato Osawa, Undercover AD2025 is highlighted as a high-quality Dreamcast original, aiming for strong gameplay over purely visual spectacle. The page also showcases screenshots from this title in development. This page details the system power of the game Headhunter, featuring Kei Tsukishima, who is a police officer and uses guns and truncheons as weapons. The game is described as a strategic action title, where you solve mysteries while eliminating enemies. emphasizing strategic operation. It highlights the thrilling gameplay and realistic gun action, where players utilize basic actions like crouching and hiding to gain an advantage in combat, with camera work dynamically changing based on the player's movements to enhance the immersive gun action experience. The screenshots show in-game scenes featuring the protagonist and third-person perspective, engaging in gun combat and exploration within detailed environments. It mentions that by entering rooms, the camera work and mafia perspectives change to emphasize the tension in gunfights. Overall, the page promotes Headhunter as a suspenseful and strategic gun action game for the Dreamcast. This page is a character introduction page for the Dreamcast game Tricolor Crisis, a title that was released only in Japan. The game is set in a chaotic era and focuses on the conflict between the police and the Chinese mafia in Japan. 3 main characters are introduced. Kojima Kei, a cold-blooded female detective from the Metropolitan Police Department who uses a life support robot named Cat. Ron Wei, a member of the Chinese mafia with a grudge against Kei, involved in hotel takeovers. And Sammy, a mysterious and beautiful girl whose identity and purpose are unknown, but she appears before Kei. Voice actors for each character are also listed. Sachiko Katsuki for Kojima Kei, Toru Furusawa for Ron Wei, and Ayuchikawa for Sammy. The page showcases character art and 3D models of police officers within the game's world. The next page showcases Chinese Mafia and Police Confrontation, captivating with 3 stages and rich events. A Dreamcast game featuring 3 distinct stages. The game is a stage-clear type, where players progress through each stage towards the final goal, emphasizing investigation and combat rather than simple action gameplay. The stages include City Hotel, a luxurious high-rise hotel in a modern city like Tokyo, serving as an introductory stage to teach players the game's investigation and controls. A major mystery is introduced here. Bay Area, a nostalgic and rundown area reminiscent of the 1970s, with dilapidated bathhouses and a lived-in atmosphere. Now, the investigation progresses here, getting closer to the heart of the incident. Watertown, the final stage set in a waterfront entertainment district with casino boats and restaurant boats. This stage is described as very challenging, with enemies everywhere and a final showdown against a formidable foe. The screenshots depict locations within these stages, showcasing the visual style and atmosphere of the game. This page highlights the Dreamcast game Carrier, a 3D adventure horror action title from Jaleco. The game is presented as a tense horror experience, focusing on a new system and unprecedented tension. The screenshots feature characters Jack Eaglefeather and Jennifer. The article describes the plot as centered around rescuing a brother from a massive aircraft carrier named Heimdall, which was involved in an accident during weapons testing. Players can choose to play as either Jack or Jennifer. A key feature mentioned is the multicast system, where characters act independently, aiming to create realistic character relationships and depict feelings like companionship, isolation, and confrontation, enhancing the game's realism. The preview emphasizes the game's impressive visuals and sound quality, positioning it as a true horror experience on the Dreamcast. This page previews the Dreamcast game Carrier, a horror action-adventure title by Jaleco. Currently, at 30% completion, the release date and price are still to be determined. The game is single-player only. The page introduces Jennifer Manning, a member of the Disaster Special Investigation Team, specialized in information gathering and combat. It mentions she is expected to get married after this mission concludes. The preview focuses on the game's story. A cutting-edge aircraft carrier, the Heimdall, transforms into a massive fortress of death. A disaster special investigation team approaches the Heimdall by helicopter, but its advanced defense system suddenly activates, shooting down the helicopter. Stranded on the deck, the team begins to investigate the ship, only to encounter bizarre and terrifying phenomena, finding themselves isolated and vulnerable. Screenshots showcase the game's environments, including jungle-like interiors within the ship, hinting at the strange transformations occurring on board the Heimdall, and the dangerous situations the team will face as they explore the ship. The text mentions the high-tech nature of the Heimdall, and the unexpected jungle-like environment inside, adding to the mystery and horror of the game. This page is all about the upcoming horror game, highlighting the terrifying unknown creatures that are emerging. The article details how these monsters are mutated humans, transformed by parasitic organisms. It mentions that these beings were once crew members, dedicated to their duty but now transformed into aggressive, monstrous entities. The text discusses different forms of these creatures, emphasizing their grotesque appearance with inflamed skin, and hinting at multiple stages of evolution, where their ferocity increases. One section focuses on the enemy's ability to instantly change form when attacked, making them unpredictable and dangerous in combat. Screenshots show in-game action with characters fighting these gruesome creatures in dimly lit, futuristic corridors and interiors, confirming the tense and frightening atmosphere of the game. The article uses the phrase, "unknown creatures," to describe these monsters, but from the visuals and descriptions, it is clear this is likely a preview of Resident Evil Code Veronica. Deep Fear is previewed, highlighting its mimicry concept, where monsters disguised as comrades threaten players. Players lead an investigation team as Aaron Burke, a self-confident leader, and must discern friend from foe as mimics infiltrate their ranks. Gameplay emphasizes suspicion and distrust, as seemingly normal comrades may be monsters. Screenshots showcase metallic interiors and jungle exteriors, where players face both mimics and giant plants. These plant monsters are parasitic to the cooling system, attacking with numerous tree hands, and are vulnerable to explosives. The preview emphasizes the suspense and survival elements of Deep Fear, centered on paranoia and battling both humanoid and plant-based threats in diverse environments. This page is an article about the Dreamcast game Deep Fear. It introduces the scope system, a key gameplay mechanic, where players use a scope to identify whether characters are humans or monsters disguised as humans. The scope reveals the true form of infected beings. It mentions that using the scope in narrow areas might be dangerous. The page also introduces a character named William Noble, described as an observer for the Special Disaster Relief Team and an expert in organic engineering, who joins the investigation at Heimdall after an accident. Another highlighted feature is Lock-on Attack, described as an easy-to-use combat system. The screenshots show gameplay sections, including corridors and combat situations. It mentions that the scope can also reveal hidden paths and doors, adding another layer to exploration in the game. This page highlights the Dreamcast game Enemy Zero, showcasing the use of explosives within the game. The page details how bombs can be used to discover hidden pathways and destroy obstacles. It questions further applications of bombs, suggesting their effectiveness against enemies and large plant life. The page introduces Nicholas Lang, a counterterrorism expert newly recruited into a special investigation team. Screenshots depict in-game action with explosions and characters, with a tagline suggesting the unfolding tragedy is just beginning. This page is an advertisement for the Black Matrix anthology comic. This comic is based on the simulation game Black Matrix, which was released the previous summer. The comic features side stories created by various artists and is published by SB Comics. It's priced at 850 yen and scheduled for release in mid-February. The advertisement also lists several contributing artists, including Masami Fujiwara, Rin Azumi, Yukiko Fuyumori, Eiko Saito, Gunsei, Tomomi Kujo, Yumi Ito, Yamato Aoki, Fuyuki Mizuhara, and Miyako Satomi. This page is an advertisement for the Evolution 2 Perfect Guide for the Dreamcast game Evolution 2 Far Off Promise to the Future. It highlights that this perfect guide includes a complete scenario chart, thorough strategies for all dungeons, details on monsters, items and special moves, complete data, dungeon maps, and a bonus manga, plus an interview with the development staff. It mentions the guide is a 5-size, 160 pages, full color, and costs 1,200 yen, and is currently on sale. The bottom text promotes ZDNet Japan as the largest computer information site in Japan. This page is an advertisement for the Gateway Profile PC. It highlights features such as its 15-inch LCD screen, DVD capabilities, and a compact design. It promotes it as an all-in-one solution for both business and personal use, including internet connectivity with a built-in modem. The advertisement also mentions a special campaign offering an AMD original wristwatch to the first 300 customers who purchase the Gateway Profile PC during the campaign period from February 8th to February 28th. This page is the reader submission corner called Guru Powers. It's a section of the magazine where readers send in their Dreamcast-related thoughts and stories for the Dream Plaza. Featured this time are the Uzuki sister, Uzuki brother, and Uzuki cat, who seem to be recurring characters in this corner. There's also a section called This Week's Blood Relatives, with a reader submission from Fukuoka about Papa and Mama Forchetta. Readers are discussing Valentine's Day chocolate and Dreamcast-related topics. One reader mentions playing Sega Rally 2 and having a funny incident with a cigarette and hairpin while playing. Another talks about wanting chocolate for Valentine's Day. There's a discussion about the game The Ring, and a follow-up about wanting to see The Ring 2, possibly referring to the horror film adaptations becoming games. The page also highlights the Dreamcast specifications in a section called Dream Machine's Handy Tool, detailing its Hitachi SH4 CPU, clock speed, memory, and other technical features, emphasizing its advanced capabilities compared to previous generation consoles. This page features several sections, starting with a girls' chat corner, where readers are sharing lighthearted stories and opinions. One talks about preparing Valentine's Day chocolates, and another discusses getting New Year's cards from a baka, idiot, boy. Then in Dream Talk, readers share game experiences, including excitement for V on Saturn and anticipation for Dreamcast titles. The Illustration Garden showcases fan art submissions, with the current theme being Shenmue. Game previews are present, including Making Guy, Makio no Ken, which became known internationally as Maken X, highlighting its action and swordplay. Power Stone from Capcom is featured, showing off its energetic and fun style. Red Eyes is shown with a cute character and mentions its upcoming release and pre-orders. Poppin' Music is also shown, emphasizing the many players enjoying it as a rhythm game. 7, possibly known as Seventh Cross, Evolution internationally, is previewed with characters and the caption mentioning it as an RPG. Finally, Princess Crown, a Saturn title that never saw an international release, is shown with a fantasy theme and cooking imagery. This page is a Q&A section called Ask the Cat. One question asks about the identity of Kuwatoro and the real name of Char, to which the answer is Char Aznable, and his real name is Kasval Rem Daikun. Another question asks about changing Dono, honorific to Ome, and getting angry. The answer is that they wouldn't be angry, and it's fine. Around the Q&A section, there are character art submissions from readers. There is a maid character, Linda from the arcade game Spike Out, Arle from Puyo Puyon, a girl holding a sword for the game Seventh Cross Evolution, a girl named Tanya Lipreti, a robotic character from Berserk, and a girl in a dress for Japonica. The page mentions this week's theme is Free Theme for reader submissions. The contributors are listed by prefecture and name, including Nagano Prefecture / Taiko Inoue, Aichi Prefecture / Tomoju, Okinawa Prefecture / KRG, Tokyo Prefecture / Shizuki Kayo, Fukuoka Prefecture / Burrito Kasuga, Miyagi Prefecture / Chikuba Fumi, Kanagawa Prefecture / Tomoki Matsushita, and Miyazaki Prefecture / Rifushiru. A game called Screaming Zone for Dreamcast is mentioned as a hyper-realistic fighting game made by a person named Iruru. The next page showcases reader submissions and community content. Under the title Earthling Forest, it announces that the magazine's ship name is now officially Cosmo General, after being initially considered Cosmo Star Circle. Readers share their gaming anecdotes, including one about painting a Saturn red to increase its speed, and another about a broken Saturn. A screenshot from the Sega Saturn visual novel Device Rain is featured. The Cosmo General Election section seems related to reader opinions. Gourmet Comic and Dreaming Nara sections present short, humorous manga strips on gaming themes. User submissions from different prefectures like Fukuoka, Hiroshima, and Miyagi share funny gaming experiences and opinions. The page also includes submission guidelines for readers who want to contribute illustrations or text to the magazine. This page is an advertisement for a Sakura Wars OVA fanbook, specifically the Sakura Wars Sakura Blooming in Paris OVA series. It's called the OVA Fanbook Down Volume and is advertised as being in stock and available to buy. The fanbook contains seal art pictures, staff interviews, story digests, and new setting documents. It is advertised in relation to the 4th chapter, Day of Disturbance, of the OVA. It also mentions it includes a fold-out poster and uses seal art pictures lavishly throughout. Filmmaker Koji Morimoto cites manga artist Katsuhiro Otomo as a major early influence, whose rough style shifted Morimoto's perspective towards Japanese aesthetics. Morimoto aims to blend ordinary, Sazaisan-like, everyday life into his work, even in sci-fi settings, exemplified by a scene of tea drinking amidst a Gundam battle. His work, Noiseman Sound Insect, bundled with DVD players, explores noise as fundamental to creation and human connection to the universe at birth, utilizing DVD visuals and 6-channel noise. Perpetual Family, a 53-episode NTT tie-up series, depicts strangers living as a family in a closed, camera-observed space, seeking their place in a world without an outside. Morimoto initially considered Suzuki voice actors, but worried it might be too comedic. This page features an interview with animation director Koji Morimoto, famous for his unique science fiction anime works, focusing on the theme of images through games. Morimoto discusses his interest in depicting war from the perspective of ordinary people rather than heroes, and how his science fiction works aim to create worlds that feel like a slightly distorted version of reality, inspired by films like Tarkovsky's Stalker. He mentions his involvement in Extra from Memories. The page also includes a news section announcing the new book, Galakuta Liberation Frontline, by Gokuraku Okada, the author of Habitual Bad Ending. This book is described as a collection of essays and illustrations on junk culture, B-movies, and giant robots, featuring illustrations by Maru Ayame. The page contains images relating to Morimoto's animation work, including characters from his projects and a scene from one of his animations. This page is from Something Yoshimatsu Theater, Episode 13, titled Ring Mao. This comic strip features a customer inquiring at a game shop about a game where characters die after 24 hours of playing. The shop owner, knowledgeable about games, identifies it as a horror game with sound novel elements. He explains it's quite scary and emphasizes its frightening aspects. The comic humorously portrays the game's scary nature through exaggerated reactions. The author of the comic is Yoshimatsu Something, born in Osaka in 1965, who is an animation creator and known for his love of American pro wrestling and actress Elisa Mizuki. The next work from the creator is mentioned as Jubei-chan. The game discussed in the comic strip seems to be Ring Terror's Realm. This page is an advertisement for GameSpot Japan, a website providing the latest game information. It asks, what's going on in the game industry at the end of the century, and mentions topics such as new game machines, the appearance of Final Fantasy V-2i, and the increasing number of Windows gamers. The advert promotes accessing the latest game news and information for free online at their website, http://www.zdnet.co.jp/gamespot/. This page is an advertisement for the anime series Devilman Lady. It's promoting the video release of Devilman Lady Volume 1, which is described as a TV anime series airing every Saturday at 1:40 a.m. The video is available in both polygram video and LD formats. The page highlights the story of Devilman Lady across the first 4 episodes, briefly describing the plot points of each episode, focusing on the transformation of June, a beautiful model, into Devilman Lady and her battles against beasts. It mentions characters like Asuka Ran and a mysterious man named Takiura Kazumi. There is a section detailing the character profiles for Fudo Jun, voiced by Iwara Yuri, Asuka Ran, voiced by Kawashima Hoko, and Takiura Kazumi, voiced by Mirai Kazusa. The page also announces a special limited edition release, which includes the first episode and a music video for the ending theme song Rebirth Goddess Reincarnation by Yukari Tamura. Finally, there's a topics section announcing the release of music related to the anime. A complete soundtrack with around 60 songs, including BGM from the selections released last December, is set to be released on March 17th as a 2-disc set. Also announced are 2 separate CD releases, a single for the ending theme song Rebirth Goddess Reincarnation by Yukari Tamura, and an original soundtrack album featuring orchestral music, both already on sale. This page highlights upcoming anime video releases and broadcast schedules on SKY Perfect TV and DirecTV. Yu-Gi-Oh! Volume 2 is available for rental from February 12th. Cardcaptor Sakura Volume 6, Shadow Skill Round 4, Getter Robo, Armageddon Eye on DVD, and Macross 7 Box Fire AI on LD are all scheduled for release on February 25th. Glass Mask is slated for release on February 17th, Cyber Formula GPX SIN Round 2 on February 21st, and Romantic Candidate Second Trial, and Obscene Work Chapter 1, both on February 26th. Also mentioned are 18+ rated anime video releases, Obscene Work, and Space Opera Argarter Chapter 3, due on February 26th and 25th respectively. SKY Perfect TV is promoting the animated series of The Mask on Cartoon Network, airing on weekends. DirecTV is showcasing Dog of Flanders on its Nostalgia Music channel, with broadcasts on February 20th and 21 Stone, featuring opening themes from various TV anime series. This page is a scoop report page for the sound novel game Machi: Atonement. It starts with a free talk section, where players are sharing their experiences with the game, mentioning being engrossed since its release and encountering a tough part early on. They also discuss using the rumble feature of the controller in a funny way. There's a section showcasing user-submitted content like fan art of the character Dorinu from Tokyo, and a screenshot section called This Week's Machi Gochiko, featuring a character called Osakafu Ryukun. Another user-submitted section, Expression I Fell For, talks about the silhouette mode, and a character called Yusun. The page also has a section titled Street Scene Machi Hits, which notes sightings of people resembling characters from Machi: Atonement in real life, referencing TV shows like Ultraman Gaia, the music group DA Pump, and the comedy duo Hokuyo. A section called Dual Memory Recommendation mentions using the VM, visual memory, for saving game data and the importance of backups. Lastly, there's a small piece mentioning a second stage Steel event starting on November 8th, and a fan submission section called Yuhei Sanmi, featuring characters from the game related to a wedding scene. The next page is a gallery section titled Dogen Zaka Gallery, which gives tips for illustration submissions, emphasizing originality and character sense. There are several reader-submitted character illustrations with comments, including White Yo, Young Skin Girl-chan, Kuwara Straw, and This Is Real, featuring various character designs and humorous captions. The page celebrates the first anniversary of the game, Street. There's a section dedicated to reader comments about Street, and a The Words section, featuring memorable lines submitted by readers. Chunsoft answers a question about the meaning behind the Street logo in an Tell Me Chunsoft segment, explaining it's based on the symbols of the Sunday Association Secret Society. The page also contains a reader's submission section and a notice about future content, alongside a character illustration of a bull and horse called Gyuba, with reader comments. This page is a column titled Black Ore by Fumio Kurokawa, focusing on the theme of Time to Tick 2. The article discusses Kurokawa's personal relationship with watches and how they symbolize significant moments in his life, particularly those related to his career and decisions made while working at Sega. He recounts purchasing a Rolex Explorer after moving back to Tokyo for a job, and his habit of buying watches to commemorate important milestones. He recalls buying a stainless steel watch during a trip to New York and an expensive watch in Rome. He also mentions a Rolex Daytona exotic dial that he acquired during his time at Sega. The profile section introduces Fumio Kurokawa, born in 1960, with a background in the music and film industries before joining Sega AM2 to work on promotions for the Virtua Fighter series and software promotions at Bellic Company. He was also involved in advertising for the distribution of Cube games at convenience stores. The recent news section refers to the release of Final Fantasy V-2 on November 11th and market expectations for its sales performance. This page is centered around music recording for games and live events. It opens with a report from Yamanakako Studio about recording music, mentioning the Mega Drive game X Ranza, likely X Ranza, which was not released outside Japan. The composer talks about meeting Hirai Wasan at the studio and their work on game music, focusing on creating organ sounds. The page also includes a profile of a game music composer known for working on Grandia, Lunar, and Langrisser series, highlighting their experience in various music genres. There's a serial corner, focusing on composing RPG dungeon music, discussing how to evoke feelings of fear and unease, drawing inspiration from Japanese haunted houses, and natural sounds like wind and rustling grass. Finally, there's a section about a live event called Danmaku Live that took place on February 3rd at Shibuya Club Quattro, mentioning their album Hiju no Hate, End of Non-Affection. There is also a small photo section about a recent cold snap and children enjoying skiing. This page is an instruction guide on how to fill out an included questionnaire postcard, explaining how to answer the questions correctly using numerical codes and providing examples of good and bad answer formats. The questionnaire itself covers topics like gender, age, occupation, reading habits, favorite magazine articles, and opinions about the current magazine issue. It also includes lists of Dreamcast and Sega Saturn hardware and software available at the time, listing a variety of games and accessories. This page is an advertisement for the Shining Force 2i World Guidance Book and trading cards. The book is described as covering scenarios 1 to 3 of the game and featuring character profiles, setting materials, original artwork, and interviews with the creators, making it a must-have for fans. The trading cards are also advertised, featuring character cards, movie cards, illustration cards, and special cards, with over 120 types to collect. The release date for both is late February 1999. The next page introduces Real Sound, Kazi no Regret, an interactive sound drama game for Dreamcast that received a 90% review score. Scheduled for release on March 11th at 4,800 yen, it is a single-player experience across 2 discs, with the first edition including a demo disc. The game supports VM, network features, and vibration. The article discusses the conscious decision to exclude visual story elements, focusing instead on sound and stimulating the player's imagination. There's also a note for PC users to explore the GDROM for hidden content related to both the main game and the demo D2 Shock, hinting that this content isn't in standard image or movie formats, but linked to the real sound concept itself. Aberration Outbreak features 7 selectable visual modes designed to create imagery based on the player's audio. Initially there were 6. But a black screen mode was added for preference. Real Sound visualizes sound in an unspecified way. Photograph displays roughly 170 landscape photos by Yue Kazuo of mountains, seas, skies, and fields, changing every 2 seconds randomly. Square uses colorful, constantly changing squares. Stars presents a night sky progressing to dawn with possible shooting stars. Sky evokes a summer sky with slow-moving clouds. Watermark features growing and shrinking green and red droplets merging into the background. Finally, Riguchan showcases a comical mascot character with playful animations, relating to transparent, with green and red droplets. This page is all about the upcoming Dreamcast release of Popsun Music. It highlights that while the game looks very pop-like and approachable, it can be quite challenging with its 9-button control scheme. This version includes 5 brand new songs exclusive to the Dreamcast, on top of tracks from the arcade game, including JTEKNO from Beatmania Complete Mix. The page details the game being 100% complete and ready for release on February 25th at 4,800 yen. It supports up to 4 players, and the Popsun Music controller is sold separately. The editor mentions that both the Dreamcast and PlayStation versions feel similar. It then introduces the 5 new songs. Pretty, which is described as easier with a cute female vocal. J-Pop, which has a fast-paced section in the middle requiring quick finger movements. Boy, which is likened to techno-pop and house music with a catchy rhythm. Techno 80, described as having a slower tempo that might mislead players. And Mary. Each song description includes a difficulty rating and gameplay screenshot. Finally, it hints at even more hidden elements beyond the new songs that are included in the Dreamcast version, similar to hidden elements in the arcade version. This beginner's guide to Popsun Music offers advice for newcomers. Lesson 1 emphasizes learning the button layout by feel, memorizing colors and positions, and using both hands effectively, especially for red buttons. Lesson 2 advises focusing on the entire screen, particularly the judgment line, to anticipate notes. Lesson 3 encourages energetic play and consistent practice, starting with easier songs and increasing difficulty. FAQs address simultaneous presses, advising flexibility, managing numerous notes, suggesting to stay calm, and overcoming stage 3 failures, recommending more practice. Genre descriptions highlight fusion, with burst notes and alternating patterns. Classic, as deceptively fast, requiring continuous presses and coordination. And Africa, as a challenging, fast-paced genre, with jungle-like BGM, fun to sing along to despite its difficulty. This page is an article previewing the Dreamcast game Aerodancing featuring Blue Impulse. It describes 3 game modes in detail. The first mode, Aerodancing Game Mode #01, Blue Impulse Mission, puts you in the role of a rookie pilot in the Blue Impulse aerobatic team. The goal is to master aerobatic flight techniques and become the team leader. The second mode, Aerodancing Game Mode #02, Sky Mission Attack, challenges players to collect targets scattered across the world within a time limit, scoring points for speed and skillful flying. The third mode, Aerodancing Game Mode #03, Training Mode, is designed to teach players the complex controls of aircraft, offering a space to practice basic flight maneuvers and familiarize themselves with the game before engaging in more challenging modes. The article also mentions that the game is 99% complete and is scheduled to be released on March 4th, priced at 5,800 yen. It highlights features such as acrobatic flight simulation, support for Puru Puru Paku, likely a vibration pack, and VGA output, as well as 4-player multiplayer. The text encourages players to prepare themselves for the game, noting that even in the package and demo versions, players can encounter T-4 Blue Impulse aircraft. The next page focuses on mastering acrobatic flight in what appears to be a flight simulator. It introduces a training mode designed to teach players basic flight techniques, starting from the role of a student pilot. The training is structured in steps, beginning with fundamental flight skills and progressing to more advanced maneuvers like formation flying and performance flying. The page details the step-by-step training process, from step 1 to 10, culminating in performance flight training from step 11. Screenshots show the in-game interface with elements like time, score, and radar displays, emphasizing the importance of understanding the heads-up display (HUD). The game aims to teach players fundamental flight knowledge and the feeling of controlling an aircraft. It highlights the simple HUD, which displays essential information like speed, altitude, and direction, and can be switched to a more detailed HUD in cockpit view. The page also mentions a scoring system based on acquiring targets within a time limit, with bonus points awarded for quicker completion. The game features a female instructor, Mai Kashiwara from Shape Up E-Girls, who guides players through the training. This flight simulation game seems to be Aero Wings 2, Airstrike, known in Japan as Aero Dancing F, Todoroki Tsubasa no Hatsu Kokuhaku. This page is a guide for a flight simulator game, showing the different steps in gameplay. It details Step Select, where players choose missions such as basic flight and landing. The guide then breaks down the flight section into stages like briefing before actual flight, emphasizing the importance of understanding instructions. The 3 types of targets section explains how to efficiently acquire targets in the field, describing check targets, point targets, and double targets, each with different scoring and guidance features. It also includes a section on HUD, or understanding the HUD, explaining that the heads-up display shows important information like speed, altitude, and aircraft attitude. Finally, or learning basic aircraft operations section will teach players fundamental controls and techniques. The aircraft model shown on the page is the F-4EJ, a 1970s-era fighter jet. This page focuses on Aero Wings 2, Air Combat, highlighting several gameplay elements. The replay feature allows players to review their flight from different viewpoints with playback controls. Debriefing assesses performance after each flight, providing feedback on errors and successes based on a 100-point scoring system, with scores over 60 considered passing. Success in debriefing leads to the next stage, while failure prompts a retry. The page also showcases new aircraft unlockable by achieving certain scores, including the F-1, F-15J, and RF-4E. These aircraft are described with details about their roles and capabilities, such as the F-1 being a supersonic support fighter and the RF-4E for reconnaissance. Next issue. Teaser promises to explore the free flight mode, allowing players to fly freely in formations, and also mentions a 4-player multiplayer mode on a single screen. The bottom section shows a Dreamcast controller, emphasizing player control over the aircraft. This page is a preview of the Dreamcast game Buggy Heat. It's touted as a wild buggy racing game where you can twist the chassis and race to the goal. The game is described as being 55% complete, and is set for release on April 1st at a price of 5,800 yen. It features off-road racing and supports 2-player gameplay. The game will support racing controllers, rumble packs, and VGA boxes for higher resolution output. The preview mentions that while it is a racing game, it's not just about skillful driving, but also about the interesting and varied terrain, like snow and rough roads that you'll be bouncing across. The aim is for realistic handling and beautiful scenery, and the developers, AP Development, say you can enjoy the driver's actions and expressions too. The article highlights new vehicle and course information, as well as system details being revealed. It mentions that CRI, the developers behind Aero Dancing, are making this game, suggesting a high level of quality. The game features various attempts and innovations not seen in traditional racing games, showcasing the Dreamcast's capabilities. 2 newly revealed vehicle types are also mentioned. The screenshots show buggy racing action in a desert environment. Buggy Heat, known internationally as 4-Wheel Thunder, offers several game modes. Championship mode features races across increasingly challenging stages to become champion. Time attack lets players pursue the fastest lap, racing against ghost cars to improve. Training mode is for practicing and mastering vehicle handling on courses. VS mode supports two-player split-screen and unique autopilot battles using saved driving style data. Decal edit and garage mode allow car customization through stickers, initials, paint, and performance tuning like brakes and gear ratios, enhancing personalization before competitive play. The game features a real-time driving motion system for driver animation reflecting player inputs and a driver training system where the AI learns from player driving data in time attack, enabling autopilot battles based on saved techniques. This page showcases 3 distinct courses for a racing game, likely Sega Rally Championship 2. First is the Russia course, a snowy and icy track emphasizing the importance of car tuning due to its slippery conditions and challenging corners. The second course is USA, a sunny seaside track with varied terrain and points of interest, described as easier overall and suitable for high-speed driving. Finally, the Peru course is set amongst ancient ruins constructed from stone, promising a sense of speed and featuring diverse landscapes, including swamps and steppes, making it an advanced course with hairpin turns and indoor sections. This page showcases 4 unique machines and their drivers. First up is Drank Schenker, driven by Caliban Stewart, described as having an engine that differs greatly from the tricky Diamond vehicle, emphasizing its small and lightweight design, although hinting it might be a bit tricky to handle. The driver, Caliban, is mentioned as a bank robber with a Mohican hairstyle. Next is Combat Anchor, piloted by Henry Maguire, which is presented as a robust machine contrasting with the Drank. It's described as a military vehicle, boasting significant power and durability, capable of handling rough terrain, driven by veteran Henry. Avalanche is driven by Caroline Rose, a machine that has undergone a major model change, shifting from FF to RR, making it a powerful vehicle. The driver remains Caroline Rose, a high school girl. Lastly, Virtuose is driven by Paul Blanc, a powerful 4WD machine with large tires and a high center of gravity, which might make cornering a bit challenging. The driver is described as an honor student, Paul. The page title at the bottom reads, Machine, and states, Usable vehicle types and drivers, indicating these are playable vehicles and characters in the game. This page is a preview for the racing game Redline Racer. It highlights new courses and machines being added to the game. A new machine called Tia Moto Edge is introduced, described as a yellow-based machine with edge lettering, emphasizing speed and power. The game is currently 75% complete and is slated for release in spring, priced at 5,800 yen. The genre is listed as race. 3 new courses are revealed with names: Devil's Canyon, Seafall Bay, and Tudor Hill, each with a brief description of their setting, such as Devil's Canyon being a valley course, Seafall Bay being a sandy beach course, and Tudor Hill being a street course. The preview mentions that there are expected to be around 10 courses and about 15 machines available in the final game. The next page unveils the new Le Grand Blanc course, a dangerous snow-covered track for a racing game on Dreamcast. The article emphasizes the challenging conditions, with heavy snowfall impacting visibility and tire grip. The course is described as a battleground set in a snowy landscape, requiring high-speed racing in adverse conditions, where snow and fog obscure vision, demanding advanced techniques and mental focus to control the machine. Specific attention points on the track are highlighted, such as the wide right-hand first corner, expected to be crowded with 16 racers, a tricky left-hand corner with a changing radius that can disrupt racing lines, a long straight section ideal for acceleration, and a unique stone bridge area where accumulated snow significantly reduces visibility. The screenshots showcase motorcycle racing on this snowy course, visually illustrating the environment and challenges. This new course, Le Grand Blanc, is likely featured in the Dreamcast game Moto Racer 2. This page is all about Monaco Grand Prix Racing Simulation 2 for the Dreamcast. It's promoting the game by highlighting 2 distinct modes, arcade and simulation. The arcade mode is described as easy to jump into, letting you select a team and driver and start racing quickly on various courses, including a championship mode. The simulation mode offers a more realistic experience, allowing for detailed car settings adjustments like tires, suspension, and downforce, emphasizing a more authentic Grand Prix experience with features like pit stops realistically depicted. The page details the game flow, starting with car settings which are crucial for performance, and then test runs to fine-tune those settings before hitting the track for real races. Mentioning that test runs are limited to 2 attempts, just like in a real Grand Prix. The game looks to be striving for a balance, offering both accessible arcade fun and deep simulation for racing fans. This page highlights the Dreamcast's anticipated on-road racing game, emphasizing its high quality. It's the first of its kind for the system and focuses on a deep simulation mode, a major selling point. The game allows for detailed car settings, divided into driver and engineer aspects, affecting braking, downforce, engine, and dampers, promising to satisfy even hardcore racing fans with its realistic Grand Prix experience. The page details the game's modes, starting with car setup, crucial for victory. Players can fine-tune their machine by test driving and adjusting settings for each course. For players finding it too easy, race regulation options allow for customizing rules and difficulty, making spinouts and crashes more impactful, appealing to both beginners and expert players seeking authentic racing. The qualifying mode is a time attack challenge to set the fastest lap and enter the top 22 for the main race, which is similar to arcade mode, where players compete across courses for the highest total points to win. A retro mode offers a break from modern racing, featuring 1950s Lotus cars and rural town circuits, presenting a challenging and unique driving experience with slippery cars and demanding tracks, although limited to course races. This mode provides a different flavor and nostalgic feel, despite its potential to become surprisingly competitive. The game being previewed is likely F1 World Grand Prix 1999. This page is an advertisement for the upcoming Sonic Adventure Navigation Guide. This book, priced at 1,200 yen, is a 5-size and 160 pages long, all in full color, and includes a special bonus booklet, a cow-raising album. The book is scheduled for release in early March and promises to be packed with useful information to help players fully enjoy Sonic Adventure. It will thoroughly explain the basic game systems and actions common to all characters, as well as each character's unique special abilities. It will feature strategies for all 6 playable characters, locations of hidden items, and tips on how to defeat mid-bosses and end-level bosses. The separate cow-raising album will guide players on how to effectively raise Chow, the virtual pets in the game. The advertisement highlights Sonic Adventure as a super spectacle high-speed role-playing action game, encouraging players to pick up the guide to fully experience the game at Sonic speed. This page is the cover for the Dreamcast Soft Complete Guide, advertising itself as a thorough walkthrough resource for Dreamcast games. It features prominent images of Mechagodzilla and Godzilla facing each other. The cover highlights 4 games to be featured within the guide: Sega Rally 2, Sonic Adventure, Sengoku Turb, and Godzilla Generations. Each game title is accompanied by a page number, indicating where information about these games can be found in the guide. The page also includes copyright information for Sega and Toho, acknowledging their respective ownership of the Dreamcast and Godzilla properties. This page is focused on driving techniques for Sega Rally 2. It's Chapter 1, specifically about the start of the race and how to get a good launch. It explains that in arcade mode and time attack, especially in network battles, a good start is crucial. The page highlights that wheel spin is bad, and you need to get traction to the road. It describes 3 cases for starting. Case 1, full throttle start, is shown to be ineffective because of wheel spin, where the tires spin but the car doesn't accelerate well. Case 2, power band start, involves revving the engine to around 60,008,000 RPM, and then going full throttle at the start, which gives a faster dash, but still some wheel spin. Case 3, low RPM start, suggests keeping the RPM around 4,000, and then going full throttle at the start. This method minimizes wheel spin and provides the best acceleration, deemed the best start technique. There's a section explaining driving terminology, including out-in-out and out-in for cornering lines, and car types like RR, rear engine rear drive, FF, front engine front drive, and MR, mid-engine rear drive. It also defines understeer as when the car doesn't turn enough, oversteer as when it turns too much, gravel as rough terrain, and grip as tire traction. This page is a guide from Dreamcast Soft Complete Guide, focusing on advanced driving techniques in racing games, specifically cornering and side braking. Chapter 2, Cornering, explains how to drift smoothly without losing control. It advises using partial throttle to maintain control when the car starts to slide out in a corner. The guide visually breaks down the drifting process step by step with in-game screenshots, showing the ideal line and how to use partial throttle to keep the car on track during a drift. Chapter 3. Side brake techniques. Delves into using the handbrake for tight turns, particularly hairpins. It clarifies that while foot braking applies to all four wheels, the side brake only affects the rear tires, making it ideal for initiating oversteer and quick direction changes. The guide illustrates the side brake technique with diagrams and emphasizes the importance of not touching the accelerator or foot brake while using the side brake, focusing solely on steering and side brake input. It also defines racing terms like tight corner, tarmac, low mu road, tail slide, traction, partial throttle, and power band. This page is about Mr. or mid-engine rear-drive type cars in racing games, explaining the characteristics and handling techniques of this type of vehicle. It highlights that Mr. cars, placing the engine between the driver and the rear axle, offer excellent weight balance and sharp cornering. The page mentions that in the game Rally 2, the Lancia Stratos and Lancia 037 Rally are examples of Mr. cars, although their handling and characteristics differ slightly. The article discusses using weight transfer for cornering in Mr. cars, especially in tight corners and hairpins, and how braking can induce oversteer, which is useful for tight cornering. There are screenshots from Rally 2 showing the Lancia Stratos and Lancia 037 Rally in action, along with diagrams illustrating the Mr. engine layout and the concept of braking-induced oversteer. The page suggests that Mr. cars are well suited for tarmac surfaces, with the Stratos being ideal for tarmac stages and the 037 Rally being capable but potentially more challenging in snowy conditions. This strategy guide for the 10-year championship, likely in Sega Rally 2, offers driving advice for 4 stages: Muddy SS1, Isle SS2, Snowy SS3, and Riviera. For each stage, it details road conditions, weather, visibility, temperature, and recommends tire types. Specific driving tips are provided for corners A and B on each track. Muddy SS1 advises wide approaches and managing overspeed. Isle SS2 suggests full throttle for fast corners and front braking for corner B. Snowy SS3 recommends outside entries and caution with drifting, managing speed at corner B. Riviera suggests downshifting at hairpin A and managing understeer at corner B with braking or liftoff. Screenshots of gameplay featuring a Subaru Impreza 555 support that this guide is indeed for Sega Rally 2. This guide details 4 courses for a rally driving game, likely Rally Sport Challenge. Course number 1, SNOWYSS1, is icy and snowy with poor visibility and advises snow/ice tires, highlighting visibility uphill and a blind corner. Course number 2, MOUNTAINSS2, features tarmac and gravel with light rain, recommending dry/damp tires and focusing on throttle control and hairpin cornering. Course number 3, ISLESS2, is a technical tarmac/gravel course with heavy rain and bad visibility, suggesting damp/wet tires and caution in wet conditions, especially with braking. Course number 4, MUDDYSS3, is a muddy course with varied surfaces and moderate rain, recommending dry/damp tires and emphasizes timed cornering and early acceleration for hairpins. Each course includes specific point advice and target times/positions. The guide emphasizes cornering techniques and adapting to different conditions, supplemented by screenshots of course layouts and driving tips. This Dreamcast Magazine page offers expert one-point advice for Sega Rally 2's 4 challenging stages. For DESERTSS1, utilize grassy corner areas for speed and slippery conditions. Use soft/wet gravel or dry/damp/wet tires, aiming for under 1 minute for a top 11 rank. MUDDYSS2 is deceptively bumpy. Take large corners as 1. Approach tight corners from the outside using weight shifting with dry/damp wet or asphalt dry/damp tires, targeting 113 for top 8. SNOWYSS3, despite being mostly dirt, snowy but no snow, needs snow tires to avoid slipping gravel. Apply snow driving techniques and watch for understeer in high-speed corners, aiming for under 115 to improve rank. MOUNTAINSS3 is technical with tarmac and gravel, requiring weight shifting and partial acceleration. Approach the hidden point A entrance cautiously from the outside and sustain partial throttle at point B. Use dry/damp/wet or asphalt dry/damp tires, targeting under 110 for a top 4 position. This page is a strategy guide for the 4th year of a 10-year championship in a racing game. It focuses on 4 different courses: Isle SS1, Mountain SS2, Desert SS2, and Riviera. For each course, it details the road surface type, environmental conditions like rain, visibility, time of day, and temperature, and recommends tire types. Driving tips are provided for points A and B on each track, along with target times to aim for. The guide advises on driving style adjustments based on the course conditions, such as being cautious in rainy conditions on Mountain SS2 and using drifts on Desert SS2. The Riviera course is described as a night Monaco, suggesting it's a nighttime urban track. The game appears to be Sega Rally Championship 2, given the course names and overall presentation. The next page is a strategy guide for the 5th year of Sega Rally Championship 2, featuring the Peugeot 106 Maxi the car players can obtain in this year. It provides point advice for 4 different courses: Mountain SS1, Desert SS2, Muddy SS2, and Isle SS3. For Mountain SS1, the guide advises players to be careful after the halfway point where the gaps become larger. At point A, players should lift off the accelerator to avoid overjumping. For tires, dry/damp or asphalt dry/damp are recommended. Desert SS2 advises players not to fail at the final corner. Point A recommends approaching with full throttle and using in-out lines where possible to overtake rivals easily. Compacted gravel or dry-damp wet tires are suggested. Muddy SS2 warns about losing footing in the muddy conditions. It recommends soft/wet gravel tires and advises being cautious at point A, especially with throttle control and braking. The guide highlights that braking performance may decrease on point B due to puddles. Isle SS3 is described as enjoyable once mastered, but difficult to fully master initially, especially the tight curves at point A. It recommends precise accelerator and brake work, and possibly side braking. Point B is described as a full throttle section if you follow the correct line. Dry-damp/wet or asphalt dry/damp tires are recommended. The target time for Isle SS3 is 1 minute 6 seconds, aiming for a top 3 position. This page details the network battle flow for Sega Rally 2 on Dreamcast. It explains the process of accessing the lobby, which is described as a place to meet players from across the country to enjoy network battles. The article highlights that the first step is to enter the lobby to chat. The page then describes creating a team or joining an existing one, noting that a team can have up to 4 players and the team leader has control. It explains that to play against each other, being in a team is necessary. The next step is to use chat to decide on the race rules and then start the race. Once in a team, players enter a chat screen to decide the course and regulations. After the race finishes, players return to the chat screen. The article mentions that during races, players are automatically taken to the battle screen, emphasizing the communication aspect through chat before and after races. There's also a segment discussing the future of communication in home video games, mentioning how online play and voice communication could change home gaming. Finally, a convenient VM function for Sega Rally 2 is mentioned, where players can use the VM to view password rankings for Rally 2. Sega Rally 2 for Dreamcast is reviewed through an interview with Yoshio Fujimoto, a rally driver and game advisor. Fujimoto, involved in Sega Rally's development, praises the Dreamcast version's detailed design, from car sounds to track surfaces that visually indicate grip. He highlights cornering techniques and throttle control, especially on courses like Muddy. Fujimoto finds the Dreamcast controller good, but sensitive, and enjoys the 2-player versus mode for its arcade-like experience. He appreciates the variety of courses and cars, and the online play, which he sees as a significant step forward for gaming. Fujimoto enthusiastically recommends Sega Rally 2, considering it essential for Dreamcast owners. The page also reports on a Sega Rally 2 event in Osaka, where Fujimoto showcased the game before release, participating in tournaments and talk shows, and offering attendees free play. This page is a strategy guide for Sonic Adventure, focusing on confronting Eggman. The guide describes the adventure mode, where players navigate through the story with Sonic and his friends. It details encounters with Eggman's robots and bosses like Chaos 4 and Beta. Stages like Skydeck, Final Egg, and Emerald Coast are mentioned, showcasing different gameplay environments. The characters Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and the robot E102 Gamma are featured, highlighting their roles in the story. The guide provides gameplay tips and overviews for various sections of the game. This page is a strategy guide for the Skydeck stage, which is Sonic Stage 8, likely from Sonic Adventure. It highlights key points within the stage, offering tips for players. It details enemy characters like Spina and Spana, and cannon enemies, advising players to use homing attacks. The guide breaks down the stage into sections: navigating a red cylindrical pillar, aiming for the pillar marked number 4 using rockets, progressing through windy areas by using spin dash or handrails, handling sections where the machine tilts greatly requiring platforming, and areas where the floor becomes a wall, requiring cloud platforms and switches. Finally, it prepares players for a boss fight against E102 Gamma after clearing Skydeck, suggesting to use homing attacks as a primary strategy against him. This page highlights sections for Amy and Knuckles' stories in Sonic Adventure for Dreamcast. For Amy's story, titled Gamma Encounter, it describes how Amy meets Gamma and escapes the egg carrier, leading into the Hedgehog Hammer minigame. This minigame involves using Amy's hammer to hit targets like Sonic and Supersonic for points, while avoiding Eggman targets which deduct points. Achieving over 2,000 points unlocks progress. Completing the Hedgehog Hammer minigame rewards the Warrior Feather item, enabling a spinning hammer attack. For Knuckles' story, titled Still Deceived, it details his battles against Sonic and Chaos 4. The strategy for Sonic is to punch attack him after dodging his spin dash and homing attacks. The Chaos 4 battle involves navigating water and using homing attacks when Chaos 4 emerges from the water, and punching when its head is exposed. This page is focused on Sonic Adventure, specifically showcasing gameplay tips and stage previews for E102 Gamma's story. It's titled Forgotten Memories and is under the Mid-Game Battle Tactics section. The page highlights Gamma's initial stages, starting with a training level in Final Egg, where players learn to use lock-on targeting against Eggman's robots. It then moves to Emerald Coast, where the objective is to capture a frog with a tail. A boss battle against E101 Beta is also previewed, noting Beta's homing missiles can be easily dodged with Gamma's speed and missiles. The page describes Gamma's movement modes: normal mode for walking, high-speed running mode using wheels for faster movement, and hovering mode for water surfaces, mentioning its ineffectiveness against magma. One-point advice for Gamma gameplay emphasizes using lock-on effectively to destroy multiple enemies at once and increase score. The stage advice for Emerald Coast points out locking onto many enemies for higher scores and using aerial lock-on for targets above ground. Finally, it mentions that the stage ends at the loop section of Emerald Coast. This page is about Cow from Sonic Adventure and how they change color when given different animals. The article details experiments where Chow are fed animals from different color groups, green, yellow, blue, and purple, to see how their appearance and abilities change. The green group of animals, including rabbits, deer, and kangaroos, when given to Chow, make them Sonic blue colored with enhanced running abilities. The yellow group, featuring lions, parrots, and penguins, makes them pink. Blue group animals, like dolphins, elephants, and moles, result in a light blue Chow, with the kangaroo Chow being the base type. Finally, purple group animals, such as rabbits and peacocks, lead to a purple Chow with improved haiku or gliding abilities. The page also mentions a reader submission section for Chow-related questions and indicates that a special Chow Special project is being planned. This page is dedicated to Cow from Sonic Adventure and the Cow Adventure minigame, playable on the Visual Memory Unit. It's an interview with the Chow Papas, the developers behind the Chow system. Planner Kuji Maekawa, designer Masaru Nishimura, and programmer Yoshikazu Hashimoto. The interview delves into various aspects of Chow, including the time-sensitive messages Chow sends via the VMU, with different messages appearing at different times of the day, some of which can be quite surprising. The developers mention that they envision Chow as being like small children, sometimes saying unexpected things. They also discuss the Cow Gnome ability, which is somewhat hidden. Secrets are mentioned in relation to Heart Fruit, which is difficult to obtain but essential. Motivation Fruit is also referenced as a way to boost Chow's motivation, and it is better to feed it to Chow rather than throw it away. Screenshots show Chow within the 3D environments of Sonic Adventure on Dreamcast, as well as pixel art images from the Cow Adventure VMU game. The bottom of the page showcases fan-submitted Cow artwork from Dreamcast Magazine readers, under the title, Parent Fools Gather Dream Magazine Readers Cow Boasting. Examples include artwork from readers in Saitama and Fukuoka prefectures, demonstrating the readers' affection for Chow. This page is about the game Sengoku Turb, an action RPG developed by NEC Home Electronics, which was released on January 14th and cost 5,800 yen for one player. The page discusses the game's challenging difficulty, particularly on the backside levels, emphasizing the intense battles against alien enemies. It advises players to focus on using Taihao, cannon, and Kusenju, beam gun, weapons for maximum effectiveness, and to train their cat soldiers to be strong. The page highlights a character stats screen showing a well-developed cat soldier, suggesting players should aim for similar growth. It also mentions Episode 11, Choice of Fate, where player choices impact the game's difficulty and enemy strength, offering 3 paths: Challenger for stronger enemies, Ordinary, and Stranger for weaker enemies. Finally, it reports on a guerrilla marketing event in Tokyo to promote the game, where people dressed as bears distributed items, drawing large crowds and demonstrating the game's popularity and successful marketing campaign. This page from the magazine is about new characters appearing in stages 85 to 103. It seems these characters are part of the game Choo Choo Rocket. There's a list of new characters appearing in these stages, including Bunin in stage 87, Cameron appearing at the bar in stage 88, Pseudo Taiin in stage 88, the D. Dagudaku Bryce siblings in stage 94, Afu-chan at the Ruins reception in stage 100, and both Nanore Hakase and Tokubetsu Kuma at Nanore Hakase's new home in stage 101, and finally Shidai in stage 103. The page also highlights a new type of enemy called Suki Sugami from the Uvirian army. This enemy is described as a 4-legged alien with a square body that attacks with bombs. Finally, there are tips for the decisive battle against Dopa in stage 91. The strategy is to strengthen your Neko soldiers and equip them with powerful weapons like the Taihao. It recommends using items like Black Comet and Special Bear to prepare for the fight, and suggests having around 3 to 4 well-trained Neko soldiers for an easier battle. Dopa attacks with 2 types of projectiles: ground-based shockwaves and flying projectiles. The advice is to evade these attacks and counterattack. This page introduces 3 quests available in chapters 12 and 13 of Shenmue 2. The first quest, Marina, Mysterious Prophet's True Identity, starts in chapter 12 and ends in chapter 13. It focuses on understanding the mysterious prophet Marina, who has been present since the beginning of the story. It seems players need to investigate Marina and her connection to the story, possibly through conversations with characters like Gel Namin. The second quest, Dopa, His True Intention Is, also starts in chapter 12 and concludes in chapter 13. This quest centers around Dappa, the leader of the alien army, to uncover his true intentions. The text suggests that Dopa has a specific purpose, and the quest will delve into this mystery, building upon a previous related quest. The third quest, Ningen Bunmei, Nyanyan Message, Human Civilization, begins in chapter 13 and ends in chapter 15. This quest starts after confronting Dappa and involves going to stage 101, Nanohana Hakase's house. Inside, players can discuss human civilization with Professor Nanohana, who mentions a Nyanyan message. Tokobukuma, also present, will further elaborate on the Nyanyan messages, suggesting this is central to the mystery of human civilization. Additionally, by talking to Tokobukuma in stage 84, players can hear 16 types of meaningful messages after defeating Tokobukuma alongside Hatsushiba-sensei. These messages are related to the Nyanyan message from Professor Nanohana. This page is dedicated to the Jino-chan Times, a fan page section for people who have Turb antennas, likely fans of the Dreamcast game Romania No. 203. It opens with a philosophical discussion about the definition of common sense versus unusualness. The page then highlights fan opinions about the character Gino from Romania No. 203, with comments praising her Sonofa face design and wishing to see her serious side sometimes. A monochrome illustration corner showcases fan art submissions, including one featuring a cute, simple drawing and mentions confusion over a character name, Naresh-chan, corrected to Zuyaka-kan. Looking ahead, the Jitai section announces upcoming themes including fan calls for characters, sightings of the Turb world in real life, sharing strange experiences felt in town, and brainstorming the ultimate weapons in games. Readers are encouraged to send in submissions to Dreamcast Magazine, as fan content is being compiled for a future TU-ERB fanbook. The page concludes with the submission address for readers to send their contributions. This page is dedicated to the Dreamcast game Godzilla Generations and showcases how to play it using a racing controller. It highlights the immersive experience of driving Godzilla with a racing wheel. The page includes a Godzilla operation manual detailing the button assignments for the racing controller. The direction buttons are for turning, the B button is for cancel and defense, the A button is for decision and fire breath, and the L/R levers are for tail attacks. It notes that while roaring to recover health is not possible with the racing controller due to button limitations, defense is a crucial technique. A one-point advice section focuses on tips for the Tokyo area in the game, emphasizing that fields are narrow, enemy encounters are frequent, building destruction rate per building is high, and areas outside of buildings are numerous. These tips encourage players to be aware of their surroundings and utilize fire breath attacks effectively. The page uses screenshots from Godzilla Generations to illustrate gameplay, such as Godzilla rampaging through city environments and the racing controller setup. This page is a preview of the Dreamcast game Godzilla Generations. The article highlights the realistic destruction in the game, enabled by the Dreamcast's both-sided polygon rendering capabilities, allowing for the inside of buildings to be seen as they are destroyed. The developers, General Entertainment, GE, aimed for a realistic Godzilla experience, even capturing actual Godzilla suit textures for the game. The article features an interview with staff members Tsukamoto and Hara, discussing the game's development, including the initial plan for the game to start in Fukuoka, before focusing on Tokyo stages like Ginza and Shinjuku. They mention the challenges of creating realistic destruction and the attention to detail, even referencing real-world locations like the TOZ-IBA and Marinere Gate Ginza, two signs in Ginza. The developers also expressed their ambition to potentially use actual Godzilla suit capture data for future projects, demonstrating their dedication to realism. There is also a small section mentioning the release of the VM handheld game Gamera Dream Battle, as a dream match between Gamera and Mothra, featuring 17 different kaiju. This page is a Q&A section about Dreamcast Passport, addressing common user questions. It explains that movies cannot be viewed on Dreamcast Passport, and suggests using a PC for that purpose. For guestbook issues, it recommends restarting the Dreamcast. Location for counters refers to the URL input field in the L trigger menu. For help with creating a Dreamcast homepage, it advises visiting GeoCities. The page also highlights user-created Dreamcast homepages in a Dream Maga Read-Up Links section. It features a table listing user handles, their GeoCities addresses, and a short description of their homepage content. Examples include pages about a baseball team called Edogawa Lifers, a chat page for Dreamcast users, meeting pages, pages about night views and cars with games, and pages dedicated to Dreamcast game information. There is also a page focused on Devil Summoner, and another aiming for storytelling content. Two example homepages are showcased in more detail. Snappy Mikoto's HP, which is described as a Dream Maga Forum must-see, with a focus on Devil Summoner and girly designs, and Edogawa Lyra's HP, which introduces the Edogawa Lyra's baseball team and mentions it is well made. Finally, there is a section explaining how to apply to have your homepage featured as a read-up link. Users need to send an email to a specified address with an appeal statement, their handle name, and their HP address. This page is a guide on how to create a web page using HTML tags specifically for a Dreamcast homepage. It explains how to use tags to format text, including making text blink using ~blink > aligning text to the left, center, or right using ~div align, and displaying text exactly as written with spaces and line breaks using ~pre. It also covers how to add horizontal lines with hr, change text size and color using font siz and font color and create links using ahref. The guide encourages users to try these tags to enhance their Dreamcast homepage design. Sunrise Robot of CG World Volume 2 introduces Kiko Seiki Claudia, Machine Century Claudia, and its mysterious robot, tentatively named FT, Flying Trooper. This original robot design emphasizes unique 3D shapes, achieved through detailed CG modeling using scanning, in blue and white colors suggesting aerial combat. The design prioritizes showcasing 3D curves, as noted in the Director's Sunrise Heroic Saga note. While labeled original within Machine Century Claudia, tentative. Data regarding height, weapons, etc. is listed as no data, adding to the intrigue. Port, or flying trooper, tentative, is speculated to be featured in Udia, tentative. Its purpose, potentially for a game, and its connection to existing Sunrise works remain unclear, hinting at a distant future setting. An official site is open with a popularity vote. The text stresses the necessity of 3D models for conveying the weighty presence and texture of original mecha designs. This page is a special feature dedicated to Puyo Puyon, Kaame no Henshin from Dreamcast Magazine, celebrating its release. It introduces a new column called Puyo Puyon Paradise, which includes a 4-panel manga and game information. This column is designed to explore the world of Puyo Puyon from a different angle than just game previews. The page also features Chico's Diary, a side story starring the new character Chico, and introduces various Puyo Puyon merchandise. A 4-panel manga is presented showing Arsail and Carbuncle in a circus setting with other Puyo Puyo characters. The page showcases Puyo Puyon goods such as telecards and announces a reader submission contest for fan-created illustrations and text related to Puyo Puyon. An address is provided for readers to send their contest entries. This page is from issue 4 of Guru Guru Dreamcast News and screams, "Urgent news flash! Finally, the alien invasion?" It talks about an alien invasion that began on December 17, 1998, and discusses these Assyrian or alien beings. It hints at something incoming related to this. There's a section called Love Action Theater which highlights EV Burst Error. They call it a masterpiece multi-site adventure game from the Sega Saturn era, praising its scenario and strong popularity since its release in January 1997, noting its high quality and continued fanbase. Then there's a column called Takahashi Bunbun's Hello, which looks like a personal corner. Finally, there's a Dream Maga Readers column, featuring reader submissions, mentioning a game with a new system and a deep scenario that has sold 300,000 copies, which is likely still referring back to EV Burst Error and its success. This page previews the upcoming AOU 1999 Amusement XPO, highlighting new games from Sega using the NAOMI arcade board. Featured titles include Zombie Revenge, the sequel to Zombie Zone, described as a zombie action game where you can use both melee and ranged attacks. Playable characters Stick, Rinda, and Poison are mentioned, emphasizing a dramatic story like the House of the Dead series. Other listed games include Crazy Taxi, Derby Owners Club, Gun Beat from Treasure, and Pilot Kids from Sikyo, plus some unreleased or prototype titles like Ring Out 4x4, Street King Decision Battle, Flash Beats, Flash Soccer, and a Fantasy Zone Metal game. The page provides more detail on Gun Beat, a unique shooting race game by Treasure, allowing up to 4 players to compete. It's a fast-paced game where you race on vehicles, shoot enemies and obstacles, and use a turbo boost. The controls are explained, using a lever for movement and 2 buttons for shooting and jumping. The goal is to defeat rivals and grab items to reach the top. Also briefly mentioned is the AOU 1999 Amusement XPO event details, taking place on February 17th and 18th, 1999, at Makuhari Messe in Chiba, Japan. The next page highlights 3 new Sega arcade titles. Flash Beats is a sports action music game where 2 players compete in air hockey, emphasized by flashy lights and sounds, aiming for a February release. Street King Decision Battle is a 2-player knowledge-based quiz game focused on street fashion and brands like Levi's and Nike, set for a March release on the STV board. The page shows screenshots of the quiz gameplay and leaderboards. Pilot Kids is a colorful and cute shooting metal game for 2 players, scheduled for February and running on the Model 2 board, featuring animal characters in a shooting scenario. Finally, a section called Naomi's Little Room previews upcoming Naomi arcade titles. It mentions several games in development for the NAOMI arcade platform, including Crazy Taxi, a driving game, Derby Owners Club, and Dead or Alive 2 from Tecmo, as well as a shooting game called Gun Beat. It also mentions that Power Stone is in development. This page announces new arcade games from Konami and Taito for the NAOMI system. Konami is releasing several music games, including Beatmania 2DX, a next-generation DJ simulator with a 40-inch screen and bass shakers, available for 2 players. Dance Dance Revolution 2nd MIX is also highlighted as a dance simulation game for 2 players. Guitar Freaks, a guitar-based music game for 2 players featuring wailing play, is also mentioned. Lastly, from Konami, is Gradius IV Resurrection, a shooting game reviving the series after 10 years, with enhanced graphics and sound. Taito announces new titles for their G-Net system board, including an evolution of the Side-by-Side series and the Battle Gear series. They are also releasing RC To Go, an RC car simulator using a special controller for single players. Finally, Super Puzzle Bobble, a puzzle game sequel for 2 players, includes a new one-person puzzle mode. This page is an Amusement Expo pre-show guide focusing on upcoming games from Namco and Jaleco. Namco is showcasing a variety of games including Angler King, Pyrolk, a fishing game where players aim to catch large fish in various global locations. 500GP, a realistic motorcycle racing game with recreations of real-world bikes and courses. Final Haloon 2, a horse racing game sequel with up to 8 players, featuring new race types, obstacles, weather effects, and detailed horse and course changes. Koi Quiz High School Angel, a 2-player quiz game set in a high school environment with romantic themes and event scenes between quizzes. Quote, Bust a Move, a 2-player dance action game from Atlas/Namco, utilizing foot pedals and rhythm-based button inputs. This seems to be a new arcade version of the popular puzzle series known internationally as Puzzle Bobble. Paraduke. Try. This title is mentioned, which may be related to the shooting game series Baraduke. It's unclear if this is a new installment or a different title entirely, but it's listed alongside other games for the Super 23 system. Jaleco is featuring VJ, a 2-player music simulation game where players press buttons in time with on-screen prompts to increase attention meter. This game features visual effects and multiple monitors for a visually impactful experience. The page includes screenshots and descriptions for each game, highlighting the features and gameplay of these upcoming arcade titles. This showcase highlights upcoming game releases from Capcom, Tecmo, and SNK. Capcom's offerings include Power Stone for an AOMI arcade, a 3D fighting action game emphasizing free movement and object interaction for unique combat, and Gigawing on CPSYSTEM2, a challenging bullet hell shooter. Tecmo presents footage of Dead or Alive 2, alongside Logic Pro Adventure, an arcade puzzle game by AmuseWorld involving paper-based illustration puzzles with a time limit. They also feature Gallop Racer 3, an enhanced arcade and PlayStation jockey racing game. SNK's Garou, Mark of the Wolves Wild Ambition, for Hyper Neo Geo 64, brings the Fatal Fury series to 3D fighting with new characters. Finally, Guntret Legend, a 3D action RPG with character development, was presented. Reference exhibits listed include Roadburners, NBA on NBC, NFL Blitz 99, and Radical Bikers. This page announces Gunbeat for the NAOMI arcade platform, highlighting its exhilarating shooting action and jump mechanics. Developed by Treasure, known for classics like Gunstar Heroes and Radiant Silvergun, Gunbeat is presented as their latest masterpiece. The page emphasizes the Blast Link system, where destroying enemy cores triggers chain reactions for massive score bonuses. Screenshots show gameplay with character robots racing and shooting at targets, illustrating the magical turbo and core destruction mechanics. The game was showcased at the AOU show, and its release date was still undecided at the time of this preview. The text suggests players will encounter giant boxes and traps with cores that can be destroyed, although some require special shots. This page introduces Gunbeat, Clockwork Knight, a racing and shooting game for Dreamcast. The game's core mechanics involve racing through courses, similar to standard racing games, but with the added element of shooting enemies and obstacles. The controls are described as shot and jump. Players will encounter large boss-class enemies throughout the courses. While damage doesn't directly defeat the player, obstacles and traps will slow them down and waste time. The objective is to pass checkpoints before the timer runs out, which is extended by reaching each checkpoint. Multiplayer for up to 4 players is available, using the NAOMI arcade board. In multiplayer, shooting opponents doesn't directly harm them, but can be used strategically to influence their progress by hitting environmental elements. The page also shows a character selection screen with a character named Carmine highlighted. This page showcases the Dreamcast game Mirabelle, a racing game based on Sega's NAOMI arcade hardware. The title, Mirabelle Sky Soaring Broom Racing, gives a clear indication of the game's theme, featuring characters with unique personalities racing across the ground. The designer's talk sections provide insights into the character designs of Carmine and Mirabelle. Carmine, the blue-haired character, is designed as a hero with a red jumper and G-pants, intended to look slightly different from typical fantasy heroes. Mirabelle, the blonde elf girl, is explicitly designed as the heroine, a magic user character with a short skirt, and is described as a polygon character. The game description mentions characters seemingly from other works, possibly Gunbeat, appearing in a rule-free race setting with different outfits and vehicles. The driving force behind the races is the desire to win and have a wish fulfilled. The magical turbo system is explained, where players build a gauge by hitting opponents and lose gauge when hit. A full gauge enables high-speed movement through enemies and obstacles. The speed-up mechanic details how hitting rivals does not inflict damage, but instead steals their gauge to boost your own speed. This page features an overview of the game Gunbeat. The page highlights the character Chunyanya, a combination of a small boy and a giant Ezo flying squirrel, whose name is Chunyanya. The designer mentions that they initially considered making the boy an elementary or middle school student before settling on this design. The squirrel was added simply because they liked squirrels, and because squirrels can fly in the sky, emphasizing it's not a hamster. Another character, Squadman, is introduced as an unknown mecha. The designer describes him as a cool mechanical man who runs across the ground with quick steps, imagining him as a machine with loose screws, giving him a sense of urgency. They considered making him fly, but decided against it, making him a ground-based character with strong running ability. The page also details special shots, Magical Shot, executed by charging and releasing the shot button, which deals wide area damage and can stop opponents, and Beat Gun, activated by quickly pressing the lever up twice, a powerful close-range attack effective against traps and projectiles, dealing high single-unit damage. This page focuses on an interview with Kiyotaka Ohashi from Treasure about their new game, Gunbeat, for the Naomi arcade platform. The interview discusses the development of Gunbeat, revealing it started with the idea of having chaotic characters in a racing game, evolving from action elements rather than pure racing. They wanted to make something different from typical games with punches and kicks, leading to the idea of shooting bullets and incorporating fantasy elements. Ohashi mentions that the setting is fantasy-based to allow for more creative freedom, even enabling characters to fly and use magic. The design philosophy was to create characters with distinct sizes and strengths, enhancing their individuality. The interview also briefly touches on Treasure's history, referencing their previous title, Radiant Silvergun, released on Sega Saturn, and their development experience with the Naomi platform. The page also mentions Treasure's history since 1992, highlighting their focus on originality, quality, and fun in their games, noting they have created 11 titles mainly for Sega platforms. The screenshots display in-game action of Gunbeat, featuring futuristic vehicles shooting projectiles against enemies in a vertically scrolling environment, typical of a shoot-'em-up game. The page caption discusses Treasure's past and the possibility of Dreamcast participation, and mentions Radiant Silvergun and Gunbeat, potentially following a similar release pattern from arcades to consoles. It speculates that Gunbeat could also potentially be considered for Dreamcast in the future, following the trend of porting arcade games to consoles. This page is an interview with Treasure President Miyakawa and team leader Ohashi about their upcoming game, Gunbeat. They emphasize the game's challenging spirit and passion, highlighting that Gunbeat is intentionally different from typical Treasure-like games, especially in character design. They initially conceived it as a blend of racing and action. The title Gunbeat was chosen to represent the game's fast-paced shooting focus. The sound for Gunbeat is being created by NAN, known for their characteristic Treasure sound work, recalling their past hits like Gunstar Heroes and Alien Soldier on Mega Drive. The interview touches upon Scudman, hinting at a character or element reminiscent of Treasure's style. Screenshots showcase in-game visuals and character designs. Treasure is planning to showcase a playable demo of Gunbeat at the AOU show, with the game currently at 10% completion. They are also considering online multiplayer racing features for the game. This page is the cover of Sega Saturn magazine, dated February 26, 1999, promising weekly Sega Saturn news and information. The cover highlights coming soon software, specifically Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 3, Tabidachi no Yuta, which is showcased with artwork of two girls likely from the game. Inside the magazine are features such as the Sega Saturn magazine data station and the reader race. The cover art clearly promotes the upcoming Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 3. This page showcases the Sega Saturn's game scene with two key rankings and a release schedule. The Soft Sales Top 10 chart reveals the best-selling games. At number 1 is Sakura Wars Imperial Assault Graph, followed by Roommate W2 People and Girl Doll Toy. Other popular titles include Lapis Lazuli Colored Snow, Mobile Suit Gundam, Giran's Ambition, Noel 3, and Welcome to Pia Carrot 2. Rounding out the top 10 are Sentimental Graffiti, Shining Force 2, Scenario 3, Ice Flame of Vengeance, and Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. The hopeful new soft user data top 10 predicts upcoming hits based on user anticipation. Sonic 3D Flicky's Island tops this chart, with Dungeons & Dragons Collection and Whoosh Wars following closely. Other anticipated games are Friends the Radiance of Youth, With You I Want to Gaze at You, Darby Stallion, Real Sound, Kaze no Regret, More Than a Kiss, Super Pachinko Tyson, and Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 3, Song of Departure. Lastly, the release schedule lists upcoming titles with release dates and genres. Notable releases include Device Reign, Dungeons & Dragons Collection, House of the Dead, and Kiss Yori. Games are categorized by genre, including ADV, ACT, RPG, SLG, and SHT. Some games are noted to require external RAM cartridges for enhanced gameplay. The next page is a reader poll ranking for Sega Saturn games, dated February 12th. It presents a ranking of 206 games based on reader votes. The top-ranked game is Kono Yono Heitakoi o Utau Shoujo Yuno, which was released internationally as Yuno, a girl who chants love at the bound of this world. The ranking goes down to number 206 and lists each game's rank, title, genre, and average score. The page explains that this corner is for readers to evaluate Sega Saturn software, and the rankings are based on average scores from reader votes, with over 10 votes required for a game to be ranked. This page features a review and game chart for Sega Saturn. The main article focuses on Metal Slug, praising its addictive shooting action and detailed graphics, even on the Saturn, highlighting its arcade roots and the charm of the comical characters. The reviewer mentions owning both the Neo Geo ROM and CD versions of the game, and enjoying the Saturn port, despite knowing it had some issues due to the extra content like CG and minigames. The review emphasizes the game's iron taste and impactful pixel art. The Check section promotes the art gallery and combat school as bonus elements in the Saturn version, adding replay value. Reader comments commend Metal Slug as a masterpiece, praising the high quality of the Saturn port, almost arcade perfect, despite some processing limitations. The developer comment from SNK's PR department recommends Metal Slug as a must-play action shooting game with superb balance, detailed characters, and exhilarating gameplay. The right side of the page is dedicated to Saturn B Odds Chart, a ranking list of Sega Saturn software. It's a weekly popularity poll with scores and genres listed for each game. Notable titles visible near the top include Puzzle Bobble 3, Wizard's Harmony, Guardian Heroes, Pocket Fighter, and New Century Evangelion. The list spans hundreds of games ranked by score. This page showcases the weekly OSU Table Saturn C rankings for Sega Saturn games. It's a list of Saturn titles ranked by player votes, displaying each game's name, genre, and overall average score. The page features a long list of game titles in order of their ranking, from top to bottom. Examples of titles include World Cup 98 France Road to Win, Fighters History Dynamite, Road Rash, Wedding Bell, King of the Spirits, and many more, covering a wide range of genres like SLG, ACT, RPG, SPT, RAC, ADV, TAB, PUZ, and etc. It appears to be a popularity chart based on user feedback and voting. This magazine page is dedicated to Sega Saturn and Dreamcast gaming. It features an odds table Saturn D, ranking Sega Saturn games, and an odds table Saturn peripherals, listing accessories with prices and popularity. The off-site betting booth shares reader opinions on games, while Software Critic Reviews discusses software releases and market trends. 2 contests are highlighted: Reader's Dream Game for predicting Puyo Puyo N ranking, and Odds Prediction Game Double Chance for Psychic Force 2012 scores. A special presents section announces a giveaway of a Dreamcast joystick, visual memory, and software. Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 3 Tabadachi no Uta for Sega Saturn is a Japanese-only youth adventure game focusing on Valentine's Day. The story centers on a high school senior protagonist hoping to receive Honmei Choko from his childhood friend and crush, Shiori Fujisaki. With graduation approaching and limited progress in their relationship, he decides to confess his feelings. The game preview highlights the anticipation and nervousness leading up to Valentine's Day as the protagonist awaits Shiori's answer, symbolized by whether she gives him the special chocolate. Screenshots depict scenes at a bookstore where they meet to find reference books, but the protagonist is more focused on Shiori's possible Valentine's gift than studying. The game is marked as 100% complete and was set for release on April 1st for 8,800 yen in a special edition box. This page is a preview of a dating simulation game where the player is trying to spend time with the character Shiho. The page is structured around different date locations that can be visited within the game. Locations highlighted include a bookstore where the player tries to invite Shiho to a movie, an arcade showing 2 mini-games, Guitar Mania, which is a rhythm game, and Star Crasher, which is a shooting game, and a coffee shop. The page also mentions a movie theater setting where the character talks about watching an action movie, specifically mentioning Metal Gear Solid, and discussing the theme of the movie. Finally, there is a section about wanting to talk in the park, where Shiho expresses wanting to give the player something, hinting at a romantic development. The page seems to be showcasing the different date scenarios and minigames available within this dating simulation title. This page from Arcade Express Volume 42 showcases Konami's popular music simulation arcade games. It highlights 3 main titles: Guitar Freaks, Beatmania Complete Mix, and Beatmania 2 DXDX. The article poses the question, is 1999 also Konami's winning year? Discussing the popularity of music simulation games in arcades, and how Konami continues to release new titles in the genre, including Beatmania, Dance Dance Revolution, and Guitar Freaks. Guitar Freaks is presented as the newest music simulation featuring guitar play, emphasizing rhythm-based gameplay and new songs. It mentions 3 types of buttons and the picking lever for guitar play. Beatmania Complete (MIX) is described as a compilation of all 39 Beatmania songs, including past hits and new additions, targeting advanced players with online ranking features. Beatmania 2 DXDX is introduced as a significant renewal and power-up to the Beatmania series, emphasizing authentic DJ play with a new cabinet, 7-key keyboard, and enhanced visual presentation with NY recording footage. It mentions various modes, including 4 play modes from beginner to expert, and a sound select mode, with past Beatmania songs, and new NY tracks, totaling over 25 songs. The page highlights the 7 key controls as a DX feature, and showcases screenshots of the gameplay and cabinet. It also mentions the game's visual aspect, and VJ, Visual Jockey, real footage images. This page is about Dance Dance Revolution's 2nd MIX. It's highlighted as the 3rd installment in the DDR series and boasts several new features. The game emphasizes its immersive experience with a large 40-inch wide monitor and stage lighting effects to replicate a club atmosphere. It also introduces a new step battle mode where players can compete against each other, recording and replaying steps. Other features include 5 types of effector equipment to customize the sound, assignable faders for each sound area, and vibration bass shakers in the foot panel. The page also mentions that the game includes a large volume of music, with over 27 songs, including 16 new tracks, drawing from popular Dance Mania compilations. The game aims to provide a more immersive and deluxe experience than previous DDR versions. This page from Hello! Capcom focuses on game-related announcements and features. There's news about a soundtrack CD release for the arcade hit JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Heritage for the Future, scheduled for February 20th. This CAD is packed with original soundtrack tunes and bonus content, plus it comes with a special sticker, and it's a limited edition of just 2,000 copies. The page also highlights a D&D Illustrator feature, likely for the Sega Saturn game Dungeons & Dragons Collection. They're running an illustration contest and seeking submissions by February 19th. Prizes seem to be on offer for those who participate. Lastly, There's an article titled Shiki Akimoto's Monster Night Tales, focusing on vampire lore. This is part 4 of the series. It details common vampire weaknesses, like sunlight, garlic, crosses, stakes, and other traditional defenses. It discusses how vampires are often portrayed as weak to holy items, and emphasizes the folklore aspects surrounding these creatures. There is also a small note mentioning the upcoming Dreamcast shooting game, Giga Wing, with more details to follow. This page is a preview for the arcade and upcoming Dreamcast shoot-'em-up game, Giga Wing. The game is described as focusing on the Medallion of Intellect story and introduces 4 characters. The text highlights the Reflect Force system, where players can reflect enemy bullets and use them to attack, which is described as the game's main feature and key to high scores. The page includes character artwork, screenshots of intense gameplay with many bullets on screen, and a score screen indicating stage clear. It mentions that using the Reflect Force can turn reflected bullets into multiplier items to achieve higher scores. This page is from the Sega AM3 R&D department's official corner and focuses on LA Machine Gun's AM3 Troopers as the second part of a special training lecture. The page sets the scene in 1999, describing the arcade industry at the time and Sega AM3's role. It introduces characters Watari, Mayama, and Kanazawa, who seem to be involved in the game's development or testing. The page has dialogue snippets from these characters and highlights a chief programmer named Tumatri, who has also worked on Gunblade NY and Top Skater. The training appears to be set in the Alcatraz stage. Screenshots from LA Machine Gun's AM3 Troopers are also shown, demonstrating gameplay. This page is about a score attack competition in the game Alcatraz. The competition is between 2 players, Mayama and Kanazawa. Mayama, the first player, expresses frustration with the game, finding the stage difficult, and mentioning issues with combo breaks and gauge management. He seems to be struggling with keeping his score high and is aiming for point accumulation. Kanazawa, the second player, mentions changing his approach from a previous strategy called Moat Stone and is now focusing on strategic gameplay to win. He talks about the importance of gauge control and using missiles effectively. He aims to score high points even when taking damage. He considers the boss in this stage, the multi-missile launcher after the second dive, to be the most challenging part. The loser's penalty game is called The Road to Dog. It involves the loser, Mayama, getting a perm at a beauty salon. The text describes the process of Mayama getting his hair styled, with comments from Watari and others observing and making remarks about his new hairstyle. It seems to be a humorous penalty for losing the score attack competition. The results of the first match are declared as Mayama winning 1 match and losing 1 match, with Kanazawa winning 1 match. The next competition will be the 3rd round in Las Vegas. This page is an official corner from Sega AMR&D Department No. 1, highlighting the arcade game Dynamite Dakika 2. Known internationally as Die Hard Arcade. The page focuses on the House of the Dead 2 and details the branching paths in the game, specifically in the later stages. It explains that Chapter 4 continues branching and focuses on how to navigate these paths. Diagrams illustrate the branching conditions and how player choices influence the boss encounters in both the 3rd and 4th chapters. The text mentions that helping or not helping characters will determine whether you face Boss A or Boss B in each chapter. It also provides details on enemy types like keys and strategies for dealing with them, emphasizing the importance of rescuing civilians to unlock different routes and face varying bosses. The page aims to help players prepare for the Dreamcast release by mastering the arcade version's branching system. This game guide outlines branching paths in the House of the Dead 2 at Branch 1, Branch 2, and Branch 3, each presenting a choice to help or not help a man. At Branch 1, helping leads to a straightforward path with tough enemies from high places, while not helping leads to Gregory zombies. Branch 2 inches helping option offers new routes with enemies from high and low positions. Not helping presents Gregory zombies in the background. Branch 3 inches helping path features Gregory zombies, and not helping involves Kagito and other enemies. The guide also details the 4th chapter boss, Strength Type 205. Type _A is best defeated with a chainsaw due to its unchanging attacks. Type _B jumps from above when low on health, and throws knives if approached slowly at a distance. For Type _B, it's advised to attack the head from a distance, prioritizing headshots to efficiently defeat it. This page is titled, Game is Still Interesting, and features an article introducing a review section. It uses an image of an eye to symbolize viewing games and the industry with insightful perspective, beyond just commercial success. The page highlights the Dreamcast Complete Appraisal section, which will feature reviews of Biohazard Fear Complete Works, Resident Evil Code, Veronica, and R4 Ridge Racer Type 4. The page also includes a smaller image possibly related to Dreamcast gaming. This horoscope section, Dreamcastrology for February 11th-18th, forecasts fortunes for each zodiac sign. Aries can expect troubled money, needs rest, sympathetic love, and unreliable work, advised to eat well and wear red. Taurus faces expenses, needs upper body care, gathers love data, has work input errors, advised by brown colors in picture books. Gemini has red alert money, good health, new love, busy enjoyable work, advised by indigo and future thinking. Cancer has average money, needs to avoid being too relaxed, can beat love rivals, manageable work, advised by wine color and expertise. Leo's money improves later. Worry-free health, quarrelsome love, difficult work, advised by light blue and personal space. Virgo's money increases. Watch for sleep and headaches, harmonious love, interrupted work, advised by white and cutlery, though no cutlery sound is found. Libra should use needed money, light health, doubtful love, step-by-step work, advised by boulders and light-filled walks. Scorpio should collect money, problem-free health, unpredictable love, overtime work, advised by emerald green and gemstones. Sagittarius sees slightly more money, mind-related health, floating romance, right timing for work, advised by yellow-green and night sky. Capricorn plans money, recovering hearing, enjoyable love, smooth work, advised by bright red and careful observation. Aquarius has unstable money, needs consistent lifestyle, friendship first love, ending work, advised by yellow and light food. Pisces has incoming money, arm injury caution, different love, difficult work momentum, advised by orange and reflection. Ayumi Kawahara, lucky person of the week from White Illumination, born January 27th, will have good overall luck, but should be aware of potential romantic troubles. This page is Advertising Reader Presents from Dreamcast Magazine. 20 people can win a Dreamcast-compatible game of their choice, released before February 26, 1999. 3 people can win a Season special photo stand, and another 5 people can win a UBI Soft t-shirt. 3 people can also win a Capcom secret file, which is a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure secret file. Finally, 5 people can win a Senkoku Turb poster and booklet set. The page also previews the next issue, Volume 8, which is scheduled for release on February 19th. It highlights upcoming features, including new game information about Psychic Force 2012, Pop-Un Music, and Puyo Puyo N. There will be complete strategy guides for Sega 2, Sonic Adventure, Senkoku Turb, and Shinseki Evangelion Evolution. The magazine will also feature a Naomi's Room section, focusing on Treasure's Gunbeat and other new titles. This page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game 7th Cross Evolution, which is described as both an advanced action role-playing adventure and a biological evolution simulation RPG. The ad highlights the game's cute and surreal Turb world, where a lonely girl named Rin wanders the universe. It features a large-scale battle between cats and sheep in a polygon war. The game uses neurotechnology SOM and Dreamcast graphics to create a survival and evolution-based experience for the player. The suggested retail price is listed as 5,800 yen. This page is dedicated to the Dreamcast game Evolution, The World of Sacred Device, originally titled In Japan. The page presents a character relationship diagram explaining the connections between key characters. It introduces the Panama Republic, a nation formed from ancient small countries, now a popular resort known for its numerous ruins attracting adventurers. Key characters highlighted include Pepperbox, described as a female treasure hunter associated with the Societe, an organization commissioning ruin investigations. Grey Naito is introduced as a butler of the Launcher family. The main protagonist, Mag Launcher, is described as a treasure hunter and the main character of the story. The Elenia Cannon is the heroine, opening her heart to Mag. The Eighth Empire is mentioned as a militaristic nation led by General Eugene Ruetbolt, aiming to uncover the secrets of ancient civilizations by sending investigation teams to the Panama Republic. The world setting is described as taking place tens of thousands of years after an ancient civilization declined. Human civilization has progressed to the point of creating submarines and airplanes around the Western calendar year 930. The story revolves around treasure hunters, or sci-frame users, who excavate ruins for the Société. The prologue mentions Mag, whose parents were adventurers who disappeared. A girl, Lysenia, arrives with a letter from Mag's father asking him to protect her, marking the beginning of their adventure when the Eighth Empire appears.